Chapter 42. When they arrived at the rooftop of a tall building, everyone smiled. Leader, the materials from this D-grade red flaming hound should be worth more than 2 million, Zhou Yang said with a smile. In more than 20 days we've hunted a total of 23 Class D monsters, nearly 100 Class E monsters, and some Class F monsters. Including this one, our harvest is almost 30 million. Wang Dalong nodded and concluded. Although there were many D-grade monsters in the ruined city, there were not many that were suitable for hunting. On average, they only found one target per day. 30 million. The leader will take 40%. The remaining 60% will be split among the four of us. Do you have any objections? Zhou Yang was the vice leader. He looked at everyone. Brother Yang, I've just arrived. It's not good for me to take the same amount as you guys, right? Jiang Xi asked. If that was the case, he would be able to get 5 million new moon coins. That's what you should take. You've put in as much effort as we have in the last half a month. If you ask me, the biggest reward we've gained from this trip to the wastelands isn't the money. It's your growth reward. Zhou Yang laughed. Haha, little Yang is right. The biggest gain is that we have a genius. In just a month he has grown so much. Wang Dalong also laughed. Then he said, prepare well. We have been out for a month. It's about time to return to the city. Jiang Xi smiled and did not decline. The money was indeed a small amount. It was easy for a martial artist to earn money by hunting monsters. Moreover, compared to the biggest gain of this trip, 5 million new moon dollars was nothing. In the eyes of Wang Dalong and the rest, Jiang Xi's biggest gain was the growth of his swordsmanship and movement skills, which allowed him to display the strength of an E-grade martial artist. But in reality, his biggest gain was not only that, because he had officially become an E-grade martial artist yesterday. Level, Flesh Tempering A-grade 516500, Cultivation Technique. 9 Elements Heart Technique Martial Technique, 9 Elements Swordsmanship, Small Mastery. 1531300, Wine Shadow Steps, Small Mastery. 1531500, Force Exertion, 2. 02 Experience. 2866 Late at night the ruined city was quiet under the moonlight. Occasionally, the roars of monsters could be heard. Pay attention. There's movement. Wang Dalong suddenly said. He quickly got up, picked up the binoculars and looked in a direction. Jiang Xi and the others also picked up their binoculars and looked over. He saw a few people in the distance being surrounded by a group of monsters. One of them was already injured and lying on the ground. Taking a closer look, it was Han Ningxue and the other students from the College of Martial Arts. The one who was injured was the teacher. Jiang Xi also noticed that the leader of the group of beasts surrounding them was a D-grade bloodfang wild boar. The situation was precarious. Han Ningxue and the others could be torn apart by the beasts at any time. It's those guys from the Hokuzen Budo Academy again. Is that guy with the surname Tao looking for death? Wang Dalong didn't look too good. He had already warned them last time. But these people didn't listen. Now he actually dared to provoke a D-class monster. There was only one E-class martial artist and 4 F-class martial artists. Who gave them the confidence? Captain. Jiang Xi turned to look at Wang Dalong. Zhou Yang and the others also looked at him questioningly. Damn it, I really don't want to be a busybody and save them. Let's go. Wang Dalong cursed. After cursing, he directly jumped down the stairs and ran over. Jiang Xi, Zhou Yang and the others also quickly followed. Ningxue, what should we do? The D-class monster is too strong. It's even stronger than 10 E-class martial artists. A boy was crying. There were already a few wounds on his body. Han Ningxue's face was tense. Her expression was grave. Behind them was Tao Xingjian, who was already heavily injured by the D-class bloodfang wild boar. Tao Xingjian, on the other hand, had only caused a moderate wound to the bloodfang wild boar. Han Ningxue judged the situation. They would be torn apart by the crazy beasts in at most 10 seconds. Damn it! We should have listened to the Mad Dragon Squad. Han Ningxue regretted not insisting on persuading Tao Xingjian to leave the ruined city. Whether it was Tao Xingjian or the other students, they were all overconfident. It's over. Another boy shouted in despair. An E-class monster had already pounced in front of him. He could not dodge in time. Whoosh! At this moment, an armor-piercing arrow shot over and instantly hit the monster's head. The monster died. 5 figures appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The Mad Dragon Squad. Jiang Xi and I will deal with the D-Class Bloodfang Wild Boar. The rest of you deal with the Beast Horde. Wang Dalong shouted. Jiang Xi was expressionless. He swept his sword and sent an E-Class monster that was blocking the way flying. Then he followed Wang Dalong and went straight for the D-Class Bloodfang Wild Boar that was wreaking havoc. So strong. Han Ningxue did not have time to be surprised. She was shocked by Jiang Xi's action of sending the E-Class monster flying. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Then she saw Jiang Xi and Wang Dalong surround the D-Class Bloodfang Wild Boar and attack it. The D-Class Bloodfang Wild Boar had rough skin and thick flesh. It was very strong. One had to use movement techniques to deal with it. Wang Dalong was the main attacker while Jiang Xi was the support. But that was a D-Class monster. Jiang Xi was only an F-Class monster? Han Ningxue doubted her eyes. Zhou Yang shot an E-Class monster with an arrow. At the same time he shouted to Han Ningxue and the rest, "Don't just stand there. Hurry up and clear the Beast Horde." Han Ningxue came back to her senses. Only then did she realize that everyone in the Mad Dragon Squad was very strong. At this moment Tao Xingjian, who was lying on the ground, also woke up. His face was ashen. When he saw the unorthodox Mad Dragon Squad skillfully killing monsters, his heart was filled with mixed feelings, and he felt very uncomfortable. At the same time, on a tall building not far from here, the 4 members of the Blood Massacre Squad did not look too good. That shadow-flying leopard is too difficult to deal with. The 4th time we let it escape again. Shen Guang said. It's okay. After so many days we've fought it 4 times. It's almost at its limit. Next time we'll kill it. He Shua smiled confidently. There was a watershed between D-Class and C-Class monsters. C-Class monsters were stronger than D-Class monsters not only in terms of physique, but also in terms of intelligence. Once a monster reached C-Class, its intelligence would increase significantly. Hence, it would become very difficult to deal with. If not for the fact that the C-Class shadow-flying leopard was already injured, they would not have had the chance to kill it. Just like that, they had hunted it 4 times, but the shadow-flying leopard had escaped each time. Captain, there's movement over there. No, it's the Mad Dragon Squad. Sniper Wan Qing, who was in charge of guarding, suddenly said. Mad Dragon Squad? Jiang Xi. Shen Guang immediately picked up his binoculars and soon saw the Mad Dragon Squad about 2 kilometers away, as well as a few other unknown people. This little bastard has become so powerful. Shen Guang's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He realized that Jiang Xi was actually hunting a D-Class monster with Wang Dalong. We have to kill him. If we don't kill him now, we might not have the chance to kill him later. Shen Guang felt a strong threat and said to He Shua, Captain, help me kill Jiang Xi. What's the point of just killing Jiang Xi? We just happened to meet him. Let's kill the Mad Dragon Squad together. However, we can't do it ourselves. Let me take a look. He Shua sneered. He looked around and said, they're hunting a D-Class monster. And there's a D-Class monster 800 meters to their left and 1,000 meters to their front. We'll lure the monsters there and use them to kill the Berserk Dragon Squad. Martial artists were forbidden from killing each other. This was something everyone knew. However, the wilderness was vast and sparsely populated. If they really killed someone, not many people would know. He Shua was clear about the strength of the Mad Dragon Squad. They could deal with 1 D-Class monster, but they definitely did not have the strength to deal with 3. Oh. Chapter 43. Be careful. Wang Dalong shouted. Roar. The D-grade Bloodtusk wild boar went berserk. It violently charged forward, and white mist rose from its body. The ground shook, and many of the surrounding ruined buildings were shattered. Heavy body and great strength. I didn't expect it to be so fast. Jiang Xi hurriedly dodged, still using basic movement techniques. Ever since he entered the wilderness, he had never truly used Shadow Wind Steps or 9 Elemental Sword. At most he used 9 Elements Sword Art. He didn't use any of the moves. After all, it was a trump card. He couldn't easily reveal it, and he was also afraid of trouble. However, even if he didn't use Wind Shadow Steps or 9 Elements Sword Art, These two martial arts techniques had increased his control of strength and speed. That was why he could rely on his F-grade strength to match an E-grade martial artist. He could even cooperate with Wang Dalong to fight a D-grade monster. I'm now an E-grade martial artist. Maybe I don't need to be with the captain. I can face a D-grade monster alone. Jiang Xi thought in his heart. This guess of his did not include the wind shadow steps and the 9 elemental sword art. If he did, he would be even stronger. He didn't dare to hope for C-grade, but he could definitely reach D-grade. After all, wind shadow steps and 9 elements sword art were the two most difficult martial arts techniques to practice in Jinten Budokan's collection of secret manuals. Next time I'll have to change to a sword. Using E-grade killer shadow sword to deal with D-grade monsters is a bit difficult. Jiang Xi's footsteps were light, and he flew back a few steps. Then he used the momentum to rush forward. Taking advantage of the D-grade Bloodtusk Wild Boar's attack on Wang Dalong, he stabbed with the killer shadow sword. Poochie! The sword stabbed into the Bloodtusk Wild Boar's body for more than a foot, but the damage was very low. This was because the D-grade monster's skin and flesh were too thick. In other words, it was durable. Jiang Xi, work harder. Finish the battle quickly. If you drag it out, you'll attract nearby monsters. Wang Dalong reminded. Okay. Jiang Xi's expression became more serious. His movement technique and sword speed increased by another notch. Like a whirlwind, he surrounded the Bloodtusk Wild Boar and attacked continuously so fast. While Han Ningxue was fending off the monsters, she glanced at Jiang Xi and was even more shocked. No, I don't believe it. There must be something wrong somewhere. Hard work is definitely more important than talent. Han Ningxue subconsciously shook his head. The strength in his fists increased, and each punch sent an F-class monster flying. Suddenly, boom, boom, boom. Sparks flew in all directions and violent explosions rang out around them, setting off a wave of air. That is, everyone looked over. Someone fired an explosive round here. Not good. Such a huge commotion would attract all the monsters nearby. Retreat! Retreat! Wang Dalong's expression changed drastically. Who is it? Who is trying to harm us? Zhou Yang was furious. His eyesight was very good, so he quickly looked around. The next moment, his gaze locked onto a tall building 1 kilometer away. Bloodthirst Squad. Zhou Yang roared and shot an arrow at them. Everyone looked over and saw a few silhouettes on the top floor. They could vaguely make out 1 or 2 people's faces. Enjoy the last battle. Berserk Dragon Squad. He Shua's expression was ruthless as he quickly left. Shen Guang also sneered as he looked at Jiang Xi. He was very happy. In his eyes, Jiang Xi was already a dead man. Damn it, this bastard. Jiang Xi could not help but curse. Shen Guang. Bloodthirst Squad. Rumble. The sound of monsters galloping came from afar and soon became clear. Although everyone was angry at the Bloodthirst Squad, they had no time to care about other things. The situation in front of them had become dangerous. The surging monsters were coming from all directions. There were thousands of them. The nearby monsters are coming. Wang Dalong was also anxious, but he was entangled with the D-class Bloodtusk Wild Boar. Not good. There are 2 D-class monsters coming. Scarlet Flame Hound and Electric Cat Demon. Zhou Yang had been guarding the outermost area for everyone. He immediately noticed that there were 2 D-class monsters coming from the front and left. He reacted quickly and shot an explosive arrow at the nearest Scarlet Flame Hound. Whoosh! However, he had underestimated the speed of the Electric Cat Demon from the other direction. The 3-meter-long Electric Cat Demon was like a bolt of lightning. It came from 200 to 300 meters away in an instant. Its huge sharp claws swung directly at Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang could not dodge at all. He instinctively raised his recurve bow to block. Crack! The E-class recurve bow made of alloy was directly cut in half by the Electric Cat Demon's sharp claws. Even half of Zhou Yang's right arm was gone. Ah! Zhou Yang screamed as blood dripped from his body. The Electric Cat Demon swung its claws again, wanting to kill Zhou Yang. Go to hell! At this moment, Jiang Xi's eyes were red. He was extremely angry. He no longer hid and used shadow wind steps. His body flashed and he arrived in a flash. Slash! The killer shadow sword cut off one of the electric cat demon's claws. "Leader, rush out from my side," Jiang Xi shouted. After using shadow wind steps, the mysterious body movement technique completely suppressed the electric cat demon's speed. Even if the electric cat demon was as fast as lightning, it could only roar continuously. With one of its claws broken, its speed was also affected. "Die!" Wang Dalong roared. Zhou Yang's injury made him risk his life. He chopped off half of the D-class blood tusk wild boar's head. Everyone follow Jiang Xi. Rush out. Wang Dalong did not have the time to be shocked. How did Jiang Xi suddenly become so powerful? Escaping was more important. Lu Hao brought Zhou Yang, Tian Chenfeng brought Tao Xingjian, and Han Ningxue and the other 3 students. They all rushed in the direction of Jiang Xi. More and more beasts were coming from all directions. The violent explosion caused by the explosive bullets attracted the attention of monsters within 3 kilometers. Jiang Xi rushed in front. In terms of speed, he had already crossed the threshold of a D-class monster. He locked his target on the electric cat demon. The monsters nearby that had not reached D-class could not touch him at all. 9 elemental swordplay. Jiang Xi's sword speed suddenly increased. Quick sword. Twice the strength. In addition to the speed increase of wind shadow steps, his body was like a phantom. Chi. With a soft sound, Jiang Xi's sword directly pierced the electric cat demon's heart. You killed D-class electric cat demon. Experience points plus 50 electric cat demon. Dead. Go go go. Jiang Xi was filled with anger and killing intent. He continuously vented it through the slaughtering shadow sword. His speed was fast, his sword was fast. The monsters in front of him could not block his sword at all. Every sword was a fatal point. As long as they were stabbed by him, they would die. 9 elemental swordplay's mysterious moves doubled the strength. Wind shadow steps' nimble footwork also doubled the speed. Jiang Xi was like the bow of a ship, cutting through the waves and breaking a path through the monster horde. 5 minutes later, everyone felt that the road ahead was wide open. The monsters finally decreased. They rushed out. Everyone had injuries on their bodies and they were exhausted. However, they did not stop and continued to run. When they were truly far away from the monster horde, everyone rushed to a tall building and hid. Han Ningxue, Tao Xingjian, and the others remained silent. They leaned against a corner with gloomy expressions. The 5 members of the Mad Dragon Squad were giving Zhou Yang emergency treatment. Very soon the bleeding stopped. However, his arm was definitely crippled. Because they had fled in a hurry, they did not bring back the broken arm. Zhou Yang was an archer. His right arm was broken. It could be said that his martial arts career was also crippled. Chapter 44. Jiang Xi kept his head down. He was angry, guilty, and blaming himself. It must be because of him that Shengguang and the Bloodthirst Squad fired the explosive bullets and attracted a large number of monsters. If it were not for him, Zhou Yang's arm would not have been broken. It's me. It's all because of me. The Bloodthirst Squad is coming for me. Jiang Xi said in a low voice, gritting his teeth. Everyone looked at Jiang Xi. Han Ningxue and the others were moved. Jiang Xi, wake up for me, cough cough. Zhou Yang shouted with a pale face. Jiang Xi raised his head. His eyes were bloodshot and had always been red. You are indeed powerful, but you are too narcissistic. Do you really think the Bloodthirst Squad is coming for you? Do you think Shengguang can command the Bloodthirst Squad? The Bloodkill Squad is coming for our Mad Dragon Squad. We've had a grudge against them for a long time. Even if you weren't there, they would have attacked us anyway. Zhou Yang grinned as he endured the pain of losing his arm. Wang Dalong's face was sullen. He nodded and said, Jiang Xi is right. The path of a martial artist is extremely dangerous. It is the path of a true hero. When you embark on this path, you must be prepared to die at any time. I thought I was going to die just now. I didn't expect to survive. In that case, I have to thank you, Jiang Xi. Zhou Yang kept coughing. Jiang Xi raised his head and held back his tears. I am very satisfied that I have come this far. With good brothers like you, I have no regrets on my path of a martial artist. Zhou Yang squeezed out a smile on his face. Wang Dalong, Lu Hao, and Tian Chenfeng's eyes turned red. Of course, I didn't expect that there would be a surprise in the end. I met Jiang Xi. Haha, in just 2 months he grew from a newbie martial artist who knows nothing to a D-class monster alone. This kind of genius is the first in the entire martial arts world, right? If the Blood Massacre Squad knew that they had offended a genius like Jiang Xi, their intestines would definitely turn green with regret. Haha, this way I won't have any regrets. When Jiang Xi becomes a top martial artist in the world, I can also show off. Jiang Xi is a member of our Mad Dragon Squad. I was the one who brought Jiang Xi to the Mad Dragon Squad. Zhou Yang laughed heartily, but Jiang Xi, when the time comes, don't forget who you are. Zhou Yang suddenly joked. Jiang Xi shook his head vigorously and said seriously, Brother Yang is my good big brother. I will never forget that. Alright, I'm tired. I can have a good sleep now. Zhou Yang closed his eyes. Jiang Xi stood up and straightened his back. His gaze became even more determined. The path of a martial artist was the path of the brave. He had to move forward bravely. In the far corner, Han Ningxue looked at Jiang Xi, her eyes glowing. Riverward's great eruption of strength had already completely stunned her. A D-class martial artist. It had only been 2 months since the martial artist assessment. If she was not careful, Jiang Xi would far surpass her. However, Han Ningxue persisted in her beliefs. She had worked hard for so many years and would not give up so easily. She still believed that hard work was more important than talent. At this time, even the somewhat arrogant Tao Xingjian did not dare to say anything. He was afraid that Wang Dalong and the rest would take revenge on him. Initially, the Mad Dragon Squad had gone to save them and then they were attacked. However, no one in the Berserk Dragon Squad blamed them. In the eyes of Wang Dalong and the rest, it was not worth it. Everyone, I have a request, Jiang Xi suddenly said. Everyone looked over in confusion. I don't like crowds and I don't want too much attention. So, I would like to ask for everyone's help to not spread the news about my strength. Jiang Xi looked at everyone. It could be expected that if his performance just now was spread, he would not have a peaceful life in the future. Of course, if you want to spread the news, I don't mind. But don't blame me for being impolite in the future. When he said this, Jiang Xi locked his gaze on Tao Xingjian and the rest. He knew that the Mad Dragon Squad would definitely not spread the news. Tao Xingjian and the few students quickly shook their heads. After knowing Jiang Xi's strength, who would dare to offend him? He was only 18 years old and he already had the strength of a D-class martial artist. What about in the future? At this time, Wang Dalong looked at the time and said in a deep voice, Rest for a while. Tomorrow morning at 6, we will return to the city. Everyone fell into silence. 3 o'clock in the morning. A monster's roar came from below, waking everyone up and making them very curious. Because at this time very few monsters would come out. Standing on the roof, they looked into the distance. Under the illumination of the 2 moons, the night became very bright. In the distance, they could clearly see a black leopard pouncing on a sword-horn mountain goat and eating it. It's a shadow-flying leopard. A leopard-type monster king known for its speed. Looking at its size, it should be a C-class monster. It's a big guy. The materials on its body are worth at least 400 million. Wang Dalong held the binoculars and quickly determined the information of the shadow-flying leopard. One of its legs is injured. It looks like it has been hunted many times. Strength should have dropped a lot. This is an opportunity. Lu Hao also said. Unfortunately, our speed is not fast enough. Even the captain is not good at speed. Tian Chenfeng shook his head. Maybe I can give it a try. Jiang Xi put down the binoculars and revealed a smile. Everyone's gaze turned to Jiang Xi. They had already seen Jiang Xi's speed. Even the D-class lightning cat demon, which was good at speed, was suppressed by Jiang Xi. Let's end the battle quickly. If it doesn't work, we'll retreat immediately. Wang Dalong reminded. Jiang Xi nodded and jumped down from the roof. He jumped onto a building next to him and then landed on the street. Under the moonlight, a black shadow flashed and went straight for the shadow-flying leopard. Kill! Jiang Xi shouted in a low voice. He urgently needed to vent the killing intent in his heart. Roar! The shadow-flying leopard also noticed Jiang Xi. Its eyes were quite lively, unlike monsters below D-class, which only had bloodthirst in their eyes. The shadow-flying leopard judged that Jiang Xi's aura was very weak. It was far inferior to it. Although it was seriously injured as the king of beasts, it had its own dignity. It could not be provoked by a human brat. It jumped up and pounced directly at Jiang Xi. Speed was extremely fast. 9 Elemental Sword Technique. Under the moonlight, the killing shadow sword shone with a cold light. He raised his sword. The tip of the sword cut open an old wound on the shadow flying leopard's stomach. At the same time, Jiang Xi turned his body and dodged the shadow flying leopard's pounce. Roar! The shadow flying leopard was furious. It wanted to speed up and kill Jiang Xi with its speed, but the injuries on its body made it unable to do so. As expected of a C-class monster, even if one of its legs is injured and is seriously injured, its speed is only slightly slower than a D-class lightning cat demon. There's a wound on its neck. I can focus on attacking there. Jiang Xi was very calm and quickly made a judgment. Speed was the key to victory. In addition, he was using an E-class killing shadow sword. It was very difficult to break through the shadow flying leopard's defense. He could only continuously attack the opponent's wound. Kill. Jiang Xi used the wind shadow step. The mysterious movement technique turned him into an illusion. In the distance on a tall building, Wang Dalong and the others were extremely shocked. Previously, because they were surrounded by the beasts, they did not carefully observe Jiang Xi's strength. Now they could see it clearly. Too fast. He was fast. His sword was fast. The sword flashed and pierced the shadow-flying leopard. Han Ningxue had been silent. When she saw Jiang Xi's strength again, her firm belief was shaken again. She shook her head hard. Chapter 45. On the street. The battle between Jiang Xi and the shadow-flying leopard became more and more intense. The ruined buildings on both sides kept collapsing. It also woke up the surrounding monsters. However, the E and F grade monsters did not dare to approach and quickly left. Roar! The shadow-flying leopard was anxious. It was good at speed, but now that it was injured, it was suppressed by Jiang Xi's speed. The shadow-flying leopard turned around and wanted to escape. You want to escape? Go to hell. Jiang Xi was filled with killing intent. He increased his speed and caught up with the shadow-flying leopard. The killing shadow sword pierced the shadow-flying leopard's fatal spot with a powerful force. The 4-meter-long shadow-flying leopard's corpse crashed into an abandoned building in front of him. You killed a C-grade shadow-flying leopard. Experience plus 70. I have to leave quickly. It has been hunted many times. There might be a tracker on it. Jiang Xi did not have time to think about the increase in experience points. He quickly collected the valuable materials on the shadow-flying leopard. The shadow-flying leopard skin is the most valuable. However, the defense of this skin is too high. If it wasn't for the wounds on its body, it would have been very difficult for me to break through its defense. Jiang Xi peeled off the shadow-flying leopard's skin along the wound. Soon he found a very small tracker at the base of the shadow-flying leopard's right front leg. If one did not pay attention, they would not have noticed it. He dug out the tracker and threw it far away. Then, he took the shadow-flying leopard's skin and quickly left. After returning to the roof, Wang Dalong and the others were overjoyed when they saw the materials on the shadow-flying leopard. What a great harvest! Tao Xingjian and the others were envious. Only Han Ningxue did not have any expression. She secretly decided that she would catch up with Jiang Xi and prove that her belief was not wrong. Wang Dalong checked the shadow-flying leopard's skin and said, according to the wounds on the shadow-flying leopard, I guess that there should have been 2 groups of people hunting it. Or rather, there should only be one person who hunted it for the first time. That person is very strong, at least a class B. He deliberately avoided the shadow-flying leopard's torso and only injured its leg. As for the wound on its torso, it should have been left behind by the warrior team. Looks like we can't wait until 6 in the morning. Let's go now. Wang Dalong suddenly raised his head and said. Jiang Xi nodded as well. The shadow-flying leopard was still being hunted. Now all of them were more or less injured. If they were to encounter a small team of warriors hunting the shadow-flying leopards, they would be in trouble. Everyone quickly packed their things and rushed towards Pak Sun province. 10 minutes later, a team of 4 people rushed to the place where Jiang Xi and the shadow-flying leopard had just fought. It was the Blood Kill Squad. Then they saw the cleaned corpse of the shadow-flying leopard. Fuck! Who was it? Who killed the shadow-flying leopard? Shen Guang shouted angrily. Retreat, prepare to return to the city. He Shua's face was gloomy as he turned around and left. They had hunted this shadow-flying leopard a total of 4 times without success. Through the traces of the battle, he determined that someone had killed the shadow-flying leopard alone. The Blood Kill Squad could not afford to offend such a person. Since the shadow-flying leopard had been killed, they should return to the city. North Mountain Army Barracks. When they left, because they had been guiding Jiang Xi along the way, the Mad Dragon Squad's speed was relatively slow. They only arrived at Ruin 0724 after 5 days. When they returned, everyone rushed back with all their might. It only took them 2 days to return. At the entrance of the resting area, the military warrior stationed there saw the Mad Dragon Squad return and said with a smile, "Congratulations on coming back alive. The train to the city will only arrive in the afternoon. You guys can find a dormitory and rest for a while." "Thank you." Wang Dalong nodded slightly. Jiang Xi looked at the familiar barracks and the looming Pak Sun province in the distance and sighed. A month of training in the wilderness had changed him a lot and made him grow a lot. When they returned to the dormitory in the barracks, everyone was relieved and could have a good rest. Jiang Xi lay on the bed in the dormitory and pretended to close his eyes to rest. He opened the experience panel level. Flesh Tempering Level E151-6500, Martial Arts. 9 Elemental Heart Technique Martial Arts 9 Elemental Sword Technique, Lesser Mastery. 1631300, Wine Shadow Steps, Lesser Mastery. 1631500, Force Exertion, 2.08 Experience Points, 3556. The remaining experience points had reached 3,556. When I rushed out of the monster horde that day, I killed the most monsters. I gained at least 1,000 experience points. At that time, Jiang Xi was only focused on killing monsters. He did not pay attention to the speed of his experience points increasing. Only later did he realize that it had increased by so much. Killing a Grade D monster gave me 30 experience points. I remember killing a Grade D electric cat demon gave me 50 experience points. Then, killing a Grade C shadow leopard gave me 70 experience points. Jiang Xi calculated carefully in his heart. The stronger the monster, the more experience points he would gain. However, the speed of his experience points increasing was still far from enough. Leveling up to Grade E requires 6,500 experience points. 9 Elemental Sword Technique and Wind Shadow Steps require nearly 5,000 experience points in total to complete the Lesser Mastery stage. It was worth mentioning that since he had leveled up to Grade E, the upper limit of his experience points and martial arts experience points had also increased. Now, he could gain 50 experience points at a time. I only have 3,566 experience points left on the interface. How is that enough? Jiang Xi understood that he still needed to work hard. At 2:00 in the afternoon, the train to the city stopped at the Northern Mountain Army's barracks. The broadcast in the resting area reminded the martial artists waiting for the train. The Mad Dragon Squad immediately stood up and prepared to board the train. Jiang Xi smiled. After being away for a month, he was finally going home. Haha, we're going home. My wife said that she doesn't have to worry about us anymore. Zhou Yang laughed. The wound on his broken arm had already scabbed over. Although Zhou Yang had always been open-minded and indifferent, Jiang Xi still felt very uncomfortable. Xinguang, the Bloody Massacre Squad. Jiang Xi's eyes flashed with killing intent. Sooner or later, he would settle this grudge. The few of them headed to the train station. On the way they met Hanning Xue and the others. On the way back from Ruin 0724, the two squads did not interact much. At this time, Hanning Xue took the initiative to walk in front of Jiang Xi and said seriously, "Jiang Xi, I'm really sorry about this time. Don't take it to heart. It's fine as long as everyone is still alive." Jiang Xi shook his head. He knew very well that this time Hanning Xue and the others were not responsible for this. Do you have time in the next 2 days? Let's have a drink when we return to the city? Hanning Xue suddenly asked. Then, as if she was afraid that Jiang Xi would misunderstand, she added, "To express my gratitude, I don't have time. Zhang Xiai shook his head calmly. Haningshue. The Mad Dragon Squad. They all wanted to hammer Riverward to death. Oh, I really don't have time. My sister's school starts the day after tomorrow. I have to send her to school. Zhang Xiai explained with a smile. Another day then. Haningshue's smile was not very pleasant. She turned around and left with her forehead twitching. In Zhang Xi's eyes, Jiang Dudu's first day of school was a big deal. He had to treat it well. At this time, Lu Hao suddenly shouted, "Bloody Massacre Squad." Zhang Xiai and the others immediately looked over and saw that the 4 members of the Bloody Massacre Squad had just stepped into the entrance of the resting area. Chapter 46. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Other than Zhou Yang, the other 4 members of the Berserk Dragon Squad took out their weapons and rushed over. The 4 members of the Bloody Massacre Squad were shocked. It's the Berserk Dragon Squad. How are they still alive? Shen Guang, He Shuo, and the others quickly took out their weapons and got into defensive positions. Beep, beep. The alarm in the resting area of the barracks rang. This is the North Mountain Army's barracks. Please put down your weapons. Otherwise, we have the right to kill you. At the same time, hundreds of fully armed martial artists rushed over from afar and surrounded the 2 squads. The Berserk Dragon Squad and the Bloody Massacre Squad stopped in their tracks. However, Zhang Xiai and the others stared at the Bloody Massacre Squad, as if they wanted to eat them alive. The commotion caused by the 2 squads immediately attracted the attention of the martial artists in the resting area. They all gathered around. It's the Berserk Dragon Squad and the Bloody Massacre Squad. Why are they fighting? The Berserk Dragon Squad and the Bloody Massacre Squad have always been at odds. Maybe they had a conflict in the wilderness? Wang Dalong said angrily, "He sure you guys are really ruthless. You used explosive bullets while we were hunting monsters and attracted a large number of monsters to attack us. Don't slander us. You want to slander us? Then show us the evidence." He Shuo snorted and pretended to be tough. Evidence? Zhou Yang's arm is the evidence. Wang Dalong suddenly roared. Only then did the surrounding warriors notice that Zhou Yang of the Berserk Dragon Squad had lost half of his arm. They started to believe Wang Dalong's words. Otherwise, Wang Dalong would not be so angry. You have no evidence. Who knows if he got injured while hunting monsters and wants to blame it on us? Are you trying to extort money? Dream on. He Shuo sneered. I'm a student of the Hokuzen Budo Academy. I was there too. I can testify. Han Ningxue said loudly. Little girl, who knows who you are? Get lost. He Shuo flew into a rage and said to his team members, let's go. I can't be bothered to argue with a bunch of lunatics. A bunch of cowards. Xinguang, didn't you say those words in the wilderness? Why are you acting like a coward now? Zhang Xiai suddenly shouted. However, the members of the Blood Kill team did not even look back. Under everyone's gaze, they fled in a hurry. This kind of guilty conscience made many of the surrounding warriors believe the words of the Berserk Dragon Squad. It seemed that the Blood Massacre Squad really had a problem. I didn't expect He Shuo to be such a person. Looks like I'll have to be careful when I encounter the Bloodthirst Squad in the wilderness. Most of the martial artists present were active in the wilderness around Pak Sun Province all year round. The probability of encountering the Blood Kill Squad was very high. No one wanted to be suddenly ambushed while they were hunting monsters. The members of the Berserk Dragon Squad were furious, but there was nothing they could do. They had no evidence. Without evidence, there was no way to prove that the Blood Massacre Squad had done it. Captain, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Zhang Xiai took a deep breath and calmed his anger. Zhang Xiai is right. Let's not get angry over these scumbags. Let's get in the car, or we'll miss the bus back to the city today. Zhou Yang also advised. Let's go. Wang Dalong suppressed his anger. The few of them followed and boarded the rail car back to the city. After such an incident, the Blood Massacre Squad dismissed the idea of returning to the city. They did not dare to take the same rail car as the Berserk Dragon Squad. In the dormitory in the resting area. Damn it, the Berserk Dragon Squad is a bunch of bastards. Shen Guang said angrily. How did they survive? I used the explosive bullets to attract more than 1,000 monsters. Sniper Wan Qing was puzzled. They must have encountered a powerhouse passing by. Have you forgotten? How did that grade C shadow leopard die? He Shua asked with a gloomy face. Shen Guang and the rest suddenly realized that it was indeed possible. There were 4 people in their squad, 1 grade D and 3 grade E. In total, they had not killed the shadow leopard 4 times. Although the grade C shadow leopard was injured, it was impossible to kill it without the strength of a grade C. What a lucky bastard. Riverward had escaped a calamity. Brother Wan, can you still contact the underground organization you mentioned last time? Yes. Wan Qing nodded. That's good. When we return, contact them. I want to hire people to attack Jiang Xi's family. Shen Guang's face was ruthless. At the entrance of Zhenten Budokan, Pak Sun Province, more than 10 people were waiting anxiously. Among them were Jiang Dudu and Jiang Shang. Why aren't they here yet? Jiang Dudu kept tiptoeing, looking at the intersection in the distance. I just said that it would take at least 2 hours to get here from outside the city. Don't worry, Jiang Shang said with a smile. Why aren't they here yet? Jiang Dudu said again. Jiang Shang did not speak anymore. He realized that Jiang Dudu was talking to herself. She had repeated the same words many times. Why aren't they here yet? This was the longest time that Jiang Dudu and Jiang Xi had been separated. Although they contacted each other on the phone every day, there was always a difference between a virtual image and a real person. After more than 10 minutes, a commercial car came from afar. The car door opened, and the 5 members of Mad Dragon Squad got out of the car. Dalong. Wang Dalong's wife and children immediately went up to him. They already knew that Mad Dragon Squad was attacked in the wilderness. Yangzi, your arm. Zhou Yang's wife looked at Zhou Yang's arm with concern. It's okay. I'm missing an arm, but I still have yours. Both of us have 3 arms left. We won't starve to death. Zhou Yang said with a smile. Zhou Yang's wife covered her mouth as tears fell. Lu Hao and Tian Chengfeng's family members were also scared. They were relieved when they saw that they were fine. On the other hand, Jiang Dudu stood still on the spot. Jiang Xi walked over with a smile. He first said to Jiang Shang, who was next to him, Uncle Jiang, thank you. You've been taking care of Daodu for me all this time. Don't mention it. I like Daodu a lot. It's no trouble at all. Jiang Shang said with a smile. Hey, are you treating me like a child? Jiang Dudu suddenly pulled a long face and said to Jiang Xi, brother, let's go home. Then she turned around and pulled Jiang Xi away. Jiang Xi was helpless. He said to Jiang Shang, Uncle Jiang, let's talk again next time at the martial arts center. Looking at the back of the brother and sister, Jiang Shang smiled and shook his head. In his eyes, the brother and sister were a little strange. Jiang Xi was undoubtedly a genius. In the past 2 months while guiding Jiang Dudu's martial arts training, Jiang Shang discovered that Jiang Dudu was not simple. She had done many things that surprised him. Jiang Shang wondered what kind of expression Jiang Xi would have when he found out about Jiang Dudu. It should be very interesting, right? Jiang Shang smiled. Jiang Xi, don't forget that you still have things to do tomorrow. In the distance, Wang Dalong saw that Jiang Xi was about to leave and hurriedly reminded him. I remember. Jiang Xi waved his hand. Hurry up and go. Jiang Dudu pulled Jiang Xi again and dragged Jiang Xi in the direction of Tongtian District. Back at Tongtian District Villa 92. Although she had only lived here for a month, this place had already made Jiang Xi feel the warmth of home. After returning, Jiang Xi placed his combat uniform, killer shadow sword, and other combat equipment in the underground training room and took a good bath. When he was done, he went to the dining room and found that Jiang Dudu had already prepared the meal. It was obvious that she had prepared it in advance, just waiting for Jiang Xi to return. Jiang Dudu, your culinary skills have improved. Jiang Xi took a bite. Don't you know who I Jiang Dudu am? Jiang Dudu was expressionless. Then she changed the topic. Jiang Xi, you did well this time, but why didn't you help me catch 2 ghosts? Are you being unreasonable? There were no ghosts at all. You clearly didn't want to catch any. You're being unreasonable. Ha. Chapter 47. Late at night. For many martial artists, after a month of training in the wilderness, they would choose to rest. But Jiang Xi did not. After being dragged by Jiang Dudu to watch a horror movie, he went to the underground training room and began training. It was worth mentioning that he brought back a lot of monster meat from the wilderness. Most of it came from blood-toothed boars, sword-horned goats, red flaming dogs, and other tasty monsters. This made Jiang Dudu exclaim that it was delicious. She planned to hide some of it, saying that she would eat it later. This move was stopped by Jiang Xi. He could enter the wilderness at any time. Would he lack this thing in the future? Of course, the main reason was that he wanted to use this monster meat to replenish the energy consumed to level up. After being nourished by the spirit energy of heaven and earth, the meat on the monster's body was rich in energy, could quickly eliminate hunger. In the underground training room, as usual, Jiang Xi first leveled up the experience of the 9 elemental swordsmanship in wind shadow steps. Each of them was 50 points, so a total of 150 experience points were consumed. After that, Jiang Xi began to practice his swordsmanship and movement techniques. He worked very hard because he found that the experience points were getting less and less. Although he still had more than 3,000 experience points, it was obvious that the consumption would increase in the future. The next morning, Jiang Xi sat cross-legged on the balcony on the 3rd floor of the villa, cultivating the 9 elemental heart technique. Wisps of spirit energy converged into his body and turned into spirit energy. It was reflected on the interface as a pile of experience points. After using it for a period of time, Jiang Xi had already figured out the basic rules of the interface. Ever since he had the interface, there was an additional procedure for his strength to increase. Whether it was cultivating the chi drawing method, martial arts, or killing monsters, they could not directly increase his strength. During this process, the only thing he gained was experience points. Then he needed to use the experience points to level up and martial arts to increase his strength. It seemed a little troublesome and a little useless. But Jiang Xi knew that this was the strength of the interface. Because no matter what method was used, the experience points obtained were universal. In other words, these experience points could be used to level up and also to improve martial arts. Other people had bottlenecks in their cultivation, unable to increase their strength level, or difficult to cultivate martial arts to a high level. For him, none of that existed. He could just use the EXP on the interface to level up. Of course, there was a prerequisite. He needed to provide sufficient physical energy, and his brain had to be able to withstand the impact of a large amount of martial arts comprehension. After finishing his daily cultivation in the morning, after breakfast, Jiang Xi went to Jenten Budokan Building No. 1. This was the office center of Jenten Budokan, Pak Sun Province. In one of the VIP rooms, the other 4 members of the Berserk Dragon Squad were already waiting. There was also a well-dressed old man. Jiang Xi, let me introduce you. This is Li Qing, the manager of Pak Sun Province in Xiantian Shopping Mall. He is also the manager of Jenten Budokan in Pak Sun Province. You can call him Uncle Li. Wang Dalong stood up and made the introductions. Nice to meet you, Uncle Li. Jiang Xi greeted him politely. Haha, nice to meet you. I've long heard that our dojo has a genius who's famous in Pak Sun Province. Now that I've met you, you're indeed extraordinary. Li Qing smiled. His smile was very contagious, instantly making people feel good about him. Most importantly, his words made people feel comfortable. Jiang Xi's smile widened. Let's get down to business, Uncle Li. You've seen the monster materials we're selling this time. Give us a price. Wang Dalong said. There was a wide table in front of them, filled with all kinds of monster materials. Materials from 23D class monsters, priced at 47 million. Materials from 89E class monsters priced at 23 million. Materials from 156F class monsters, priced at 15 million. In total it's 85 million. Is my price fair? Li Qing circled the table and kept on estimating. His calculation speed was very fast. In the end, he said with a face full of smiles. Jiang Xi glanced at them and saw that Zhou Yang, Lu Hao, and Tian Chenfeng were all expressionless. They kept their mouths shut. He was relieved. He used to be an expert in setting up stalls. How could there be no price when doing business? Uncle Li, let's not talk about whether it's fair or not. We're old friends. If you continue to bargain like this, I'll turn around and leave. You won't be able to see the big guy in my backpack. I'll sell it to the Martial Artist Association. Wang Dalong stood up. Big guy. Li Qing's eyes flashed. He looked at Wang Dalong's backpack. Could it be that the Mad Dragon Squad had a big harvest in the wilderness this time? He looked at Zhou Yang's arm again. It was very possible that a long-range attacker was so heavily injured. Haha, Dalong, sit down. That was the market price. I haven't said the price because of our friendship. 35 million. What do you think? Li Qing laughed immediately. Less than 37 million off the table. Wang Dalong smiled. Then he said to Jiang Xi and the others, brothers, let's pack up and leave. Next. Jiang Xi smiled and stood up with everyone. Li Qing's expression changed. 37 million was more than 5 million higher than the market price. After deducting the cost, the profit was not much. However, he was unwilling to give up. Judging from the Berserk Dragon Squad's attitude, it was obvious that they had obtained something good. Wait. Oh, Dalong, you're killing me. Li Qing smiled bitterly and stopped them. Wang Dalong, Jiang Xi, and the others looked at each other and sat back down with a smile. Can you take out the big guy for me to see now? Li Qing rubbed his hands. Wang Dalong opened his backpack on the table as if he was presenting a treasure. Then, he took out the processed shadow leopard skin. Shadow leopard skin. Li Qing was shocked. Then, he quickly took out an identification device and scanned the skin. Soon the results were out. A C-grade shadow leopard. Dalong, you really got a big guy. Li Qing shook his head in disbelief. Then give me a price, Wang Dalong said with a smile. The torso is very complete, but there are many wounds on the surface of the skin. It's a little discounted and troublesome to deal with later. How about 350 million? Li Qing carefully observed the leopard skin. Brothers, let's go. It's boring. Wang Dalong stood up again and put away the item. Jiang Xi also shook his head and smiled. Yesterday, he had checked the information on the shadow leopard on the Xiantian forum. The C-grade shadow leopard skin was at least 400 million. If the rarity was included, the price would increase by 25%. In other words, 500 million was the normal price. The wounds on the surface of the skin did have some impact, but it was really boring to bargain like this. Hey, don't. How about another 20 million? How about 370 million? Li Qing shouted from behind. Everyone ignored him and continued to walk out. Another 20 million. Another 30 million. Fixed price 450 million. If you can take it, then take it. If you can't, then forget it. In order to hunt this shadow leopard, my brother lost half an arm. Uncle Li, if you're not sincere, our friendship is over in the future. Wang Dalong suddenly turned around. Li Qing's expression changed. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, all right, that's the price. Thus everyone calmed down again. When it was time to settle the bill, Li Qing said helplessly, you people who play with knives are even more ruthless than me when it comes to prices. Uncle Li, you're exaggerating. You've bought so many things from us. If you resell them, you'll earn at least 50 million. It's more comfortable than people like us who live on the edge of a knife. Wang Dalong said with a smile. This money isn't mine. It's all from our dojo. At most, I'll take a commission. To be honest, I really envy martial artists like you. Li Qing shook his head. Haha. Then let's have a happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. Wang Dalong and Li Qing shook hands in a friendly manner. It was a transaction that both parties were satisfied with. Chapter 48. After Li Qing left, everyone in the Mad Dragon Squad laughed heartily. It was a huge haul. I'm the team leader. I'll split the money. First, it's 37 million. I'll take 40% and you guys take 60%. I'll take 14. 8 million and you guys take 5. 55 million each. Next, it's the 450 million from the shadow-flying leopard. Although Jiang Xi killed it alone, we're in a squad. I'll be thick-skinned and follow the rules. Jiang Xi will take 80% and the four of us will split the remaining 20%. In this case, Jiang Xi will take 360 million and each of us will take 5 million. Does anyone have any objections? Wang Dalong looked at everyone. I have no objections, Jiang Xi said with a smile. No objections. Zhou Yang and the other two shook their heads. Of course they had no objections. Especially Zhou Yang, Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng. They were all E-class martial artists and usually earned around 20 million a year. The haul this time was equivalent to a year's usual. Moreover, they did not contribute at all when hunting the shadow-flying leopard. They took it for free. In the end, Jiang Xi took the most, 365 million. Wang Dalong was next, taking 37.3 million. Zhou Yang and the other two got 28.05 million. This time Yang Zi cut off his martial artist path. As the team leader, I'm also responsible. Therefore I'll take out 10 million to give Yang Zi. You guys don't have to give it. Wang Dalong sighed again. No, team leader. I'm also responsible for this. It just so happens that I took the most this time. How about this, I'll take out 50 million. Brother Hao and Brother Feng don't have to take it. Jiang Xi shook his head and said with a serious expression. This way Lu Hao was also unwilling. He was a straightforward person and immediately shouted, this won't do. Since we're brothers, you can't leave us behind at this time. I can't compare with you two rich people. I'll take out 5 million. How about you, Chanfeng? I'll take 5 million too. Tian Chanfeng nodded. Zhou Yang was already speechless. His eyes were red. After splitting the money, Wang Dalong said, according to the old rules, we have to rest for a month. However, I have a suggestion now. Everyone looked over. Wang Dalong sternly said, Lu Hao, Chanfeng, you've seen how fast Riverward is improving. If you can't keep up, then you won't be able to keep up when we go to bigger cities in the future. Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng's faces changed. Yes, it had only been 2 months, and Jiang Xi's strength had already reached the same level as the team leader, a Class D. Moreover, he would definitely become stronger and stronger in the future. If their strength was still at E-class, they would have no choice but to leave the Mad Dragon Party. So my idea is to use this 1 month to improve my strength, said Wang Dalong. How? Lu Hao quickly asked. Body strengthening potion. Wang Dalong chuckled. Isn't that a forbidden drug? Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng were shocked. Jiang Xi also took a few more glances at Wang Dalong. He had heard of the body strengthening potion before. The poultry mutation in the Shilu market was caused by Chao's biological group's illegal development of body strengthening drugs. If used improperly, one's life would be in danger. To ordinary people, it is indeed a forbidden drug. However, to martial artists like us, there is only one effect. Once used, it will be difficult to improve our strength in the future. Wang Dalong looked at Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng and smiled. The lowest price of a Class D body strengthening potion on the market is 100 million. If you agree, I just happen to have a channel and can get a low price of 60 million. 60 million? Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng exclaimed. Wang Dalong smiled proudly and said, I have a friend who is a martial artist from the Liberal Alliance. He knows a higher-up and can get such a price. You guys have followed me in the wilderness for 5 to 6 years. Taking out 60 million shouldn't be a problem for you. The Class D body strengthening potion can allow you to advance from Class E to Class D. Although it will be difficult to improve in the future, I think with your aptitude, even if you don't use the body strengthening potion, it will be difficult for you to reach Class C in the future, right? Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng nodded. They were almost 30 years old and had passed the golden age for martial artists to improve their strength quickly. Then this matter is settled. When you guys become Class D martial artists, together with me and Jiang Xi, our Mad Dragon squad will be able to hunt Class C monsters and earn big money. Wang Dalong said in high spirits. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. Jiang Xi's eyes also lit up. Everyone in the squad had reached Class D and could hunt Class C monsters. Such a squad of martial artists, just thinking about it made one look forward to it. Zhou Yang looked on enviously. However, he was not too disappointed. Although he had bid farewell to the wilderness, he was still a martial artist. The dojo had already signed a coaching contract with him. In the future, he could be a coach in the dojo with peace of mind. After returning home, Jiang Xi opened Jinten Budokan's intranet. In the virtual hologram there were 3 boards: Xiantian Forum, Xiantian Shopping Mall, and Personal Hub. Jiang Xi first opened Xiantian Forum and inquired about the body enhancement potion. In front of him a hologram interface appeared. They were all posts related to the body enhancement potion. After reading a few posts, he found that the introductions were very general. It was similar to what Wang Dalong had said. It was not detailed. After clicking on another post, Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. This was very clear. Below was the content of the post. Body enhancement potion, as the name suggests, only strengthens the body. However, why is it that after using the body enhancement potion, it is difficult to increase one's strength? This is the principle of the qi drawing technique. As everyone knows, when martial artists practice the qi drawing technique, they can draw spiritual energy into their body to strengthen themselves. Many people think that strengthening oneself is just strengthening the body. In fact, it is a big mistake. After spiritual energy enters the body, the spiritual energy formed will not only strengthen the body, it will also strengthen one's spiritual consciousness. Seeing this, Jiang Xi nodded lightly. He thought of the experience panel. The process of the spiritual energy strengthening the body and spiritual consciousness was very similar to the experience panel. In the beginning, when he increased his level and martial arts experience, he could only add 10 experience points at a time. Later, when he became an F-class martial artist, he could add 30 experience points at a time. Especially when he risked his life to fight Shin Quan, his increase in martial arts comprehension exceeded the limit. In a way, it increased his ability to withstand the impact of martial arts comprehension, allowing him to increase his martial arts experience points to 50 points at a time. Also, some time ago, when he reached E-class, he could add 50 points to his level and 100 martial arts experience points at a time. After leveling up, my body and spiritual consciousness were strengthened. Therefore, the experience points I can add each time increased correspondingly. And that limit was equivalent to the strengthening of my spiritual consciousness. In terms of martial arts, the upper limit of the experience points I can add each time is higher than the level. Body and spiritual consciousness. Jiang Xi firmly remembered these two keywords and continued reading the post. The body enhancement potion only strengthens the body. Spiritual consciousness is still at the original level. This causes the user's strength to be difficult to increase, because he lacks the process of strengthening his spiritual consciousness. If he wants to strengthen it alone, it is extremely difficult. Why isn't the body enhancement potion popularized? The price is one thing, but the main reason is this. Then, is there anything that can strengthen both the body and the mind? The answer is yes. Jiang Xi's mind jolted when he heard this. There was such a thing? Then wouldn't he be able to become a strong person directly after using it? What was the point of cultivating? He could even throw away the experience panel. Jiang Xi hurriedly continued reading. Chapter 49. The author of the post continued. I once heard from a grade A martial artist that after the spirit qi revival, all living things evolved. Among them, there was a plant that evolved into spiritual items. Spiritual items contain large amounts of spirit qi that can be directly absorbed by the human body. Therefore, in theory, consuming spiritual items can strengthen one's body and consciousness. Someone once used it this way, but he died. Jiang Xi was speechless. He wanted to beat the author of the post to death. After talking for so long, it turned out that consuming spiritual items would result in death. Later on, a research institute discovered that the body and consciousness of a martial artist could not withstand the impact of large amounts of spirit qi. Therefore, the result of consuming spiritual items directly is death. However, it is said that after so many years of research, a research institute has developed diluted spiritual item medicine. However, the price is extremely high. It can cost billions and billions, and it is difficult for ordinary people to buy it. It has become an extravagant hope to popularize it. The post ended there. Jiang Xi sat quietly and digested it for a long time. Spiritual items. It seemed that he knew very little about this era. After a while, Jiang Xi shook his head and collected his thoughts. He exited the Xiantian forum and opened the Xiantian store. Next, he had to update his combat preparations. Ever since he started fighting with Grade D monsters, the Grade D killer shadow sword in his hand became less and less useful. If not for his high strength, he would not have been able to break through the monster's defense. Therefore, he had to change to a higher grade equipment. Grade D equipment will definitely not be considered. After a while, when my strength increases again, I will have to change again. It will be troublesome. Then I'll just get it in one go. Jiang Xi searched for the equipment in the Xiantian store. Soon the prices were displayed. Grade C Killer Shadow Sword, 300 million New Moon dollars. Grade C Combat Uniform, 100 million New Moon dollars. Note: support exchanging old equipment for new equipment. After looking at the prices, Jiang Xi fell silent. He wanted to take back his words. He then looked at his account balance. 370. 1 million New Moon dollars. With my speed, I don't have high requirements for defense in battle. I can lower the grade of the combat uniform and buy a grade D one. As for the weapon, I will definitely choose the grade C Killer Shadow Sword. Grade D combat uniform, 30 million New Moon dollars. It was completely acceptable. Old equipment can still be replaced, but I wonder how much it will depreciate. Jiang Xi muttered to himself. The virtual 3D projection of the Xiantian shopping center shook for a while, and the intelligent voice prompted, "Please place your old equipment in the scanning area." Jiang Xi stared blankly for a moment before smiling. He hurriedly placed the E-grade Shadowslayer sword and combat uniform into the scanning area. The original price is 15 million. Based on the discount, the price can be reduced to 9 million. The AI voice reminded him again. Jiang Xi nodded. It was a fair price, 60% of the original price. The order was placed and the payment was deducted. 321 million was gone just like that. Jiang Xi sat there in a daze. What did he do just now? At noon, Jiang Dudu finished her training at the Martial Arts Center and came back for lunch. Jiang Xi hesitated. "Daodu, I've spent another 300 million. Oh. Zhang Daodu casually said, Oh. Jiang Xi felt that something was wrong, and asked again, "You don't feel bad?" "Feel bad? Am I that petty?" Jiang Dudu was expressionless. With a snap, she broke the chopsticks in her hand. "Give me a new pair of chopsticks." The more it was like this, the more Jiang Xi felt that something was wrong. It would be normal if Jiang Dudu really got angry. Pak Sun Province, Luming District, Apricot Garden District. As the largest slum in Luming District, there were close to 1 million people living in the small area. Living, education, entertainment, safety, and other basic facilities were all very poor. The latter two could be said to be non-existent. The problem of homeless children was also the most serious here. Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu used to be homeless in Luming District. It took them a whole year to save enough money to rent the cheapest house in Apricot Garden. In a small alley next to Apricot Garden in the evening, it was full of mobile stalls. The stall owner, Old Yang, always welcomed customers with a smile, regardless of whether the temper of the people who came to buy vegetables was good or bad. This was his attitude towards life, to be a good person and do good deeds. He firmly believed that good people would be rewarded. "Old Yang, why haven't I seen little Jiang in the past 2 to 3 months? He used to set up a stall with you," a stall owner asked. "Haha, that kid has turned over a new leaf and moved out of this slum." Old Yang laughed very happily. He treated Jiang Xi and his sister as his own children. When his children became successful, he felt that his face was shining, and he did not ask for anything in return. That's really enviable. I used to think that kid was smart and knew how to do things. In just a few years he has turned over a new leaf. That's right. Even now, the neighbors in our building often talk about them. I don't know when we can turn over a new leaf. Born in the slums, we have no hope, and our children have no hope. Don't give up. Life will get better day by day. Think about 20 or 30 years ago, we didn't even have food to eat. Old Yang always had a smile on his face. He firmly believed that life would get better. At night, Old Yang dragged his tired body and climbed up the 24th floor of the building, panting. He shook his head helplessly. He was old and his body was about to collapse. "Fortunately, my son found a good job. I'll work hard for a few more years and I'll be able to put down this burden. Little Nan's grades have also improved. If he can get into university in the future, I'll really be able to rest assured." Old Yang smiled. "I just don't know how Jiang Xi and Daodu are doing. The 2 children are alone and there's no adult to take care of them. It's really worrying." Old Yang was a little worried. He opened the door and entered the house. Old Yang was stunned for a moment. He found that his family was gathered together and looking at something excitedly. "What are you doing?" Old Yang asked. Old Yang's son turned around first and said excitedly, "Dad, look! A house! We have a house!" He held a red book in one hand and a bunch of keys in the other. The rest of the family nodded excitedly. "A house? What nonsense are you talking about? The cheapest house price in Luming District is 20,000 yuan per square meter. We can't afford it even if we work for the rest of our lives." Old Yang's face darkened. "It's true, Dad. This is from Jiang Xi and his sister." Old Yang's son was afraid that Old Yang would not believe him, so he took out another envelope. "Jiang Xi." Old Yang was stunned for a moment. He took the envelope, but then he remembered that he could not read. He handed the letter to his grandson and said, "Little Nan, you read it." Little Nan read it obediently. "Uncle Yang, long time no see. I'm Jiang Xi. Thank you very much for taking care of Daodu and me all these years. Jiang Xi will remember it in his heart. I'm now a martial artist and have made money. So together with Daodu, I've specially chosen a house for you. Also, I've arranged a school for little Nan near the neighborhood. Please don't refuse. You know my personality." After reading the simple letter, Old Yang's face was already covered in tears. Chapter 50. After a while, Old Yang wiped his tears and picked up the red booklet with trembling hands. He rubbed the booklet carefully before opening it. Sunshine Mansion. His grandson Xiao Nan read from the side. Old Yang exclaimed, "Sunshine Mansion? This is a house in Sunshine Mansion?" When he was selling vegetables, he heard a vendor talking about it. Sunshine Mansion was a neighborhood that just opened 2 years ago. Although it wasn't considered a first-class neighborhood in Paksun Province, it was definitely a first-class neighborhood in Luming District. The average price was 100,000 yuan per square meter. 4 rooms, 2 living rooms, 180 square meters. That's 18 million yuan. Old Yang felt that it was difficult to breathe. Can martial artists earn this much money? Old Yang mumbled. That night, Old Yang's family was destined to have a sleepless night. The next morning, someone knocked on Old Yang's door. After opening the door, there were a few men in work clothes. The leader asked politely, "Hello, is this Yang Dania's family?" "You are?" Old Yang was confused. "I'm a moving company hired by Mr. Jiang Xi. I'm here to help you move." Old Yang was stunned again. He was very touched and was impressed by Jiang Xi's thoughtfulness. He lived on the 24th floor, and there was no elevator. If he really wanted them to move, they wouldn't be able to finish moving in a week. Unlike Jiang Xi and his sister, they didn't have many things. They only needed 2 backpacks. Thank you. Old Yang quickly thanked them. The commotion caused by Old Yang's moving house alerted the neighbors, and they all came to watch. When they found out that Old Yang's family had changed and had their own house, they were even more envious. They also felt that Old Yang's good deeds finally paid off. Of course, there were also a lot of jealous people. However, they couldn't do anything about it. The house was given to them by Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi was already a martial artist. Who dared to offend him? Old Yang told his family and didn't reveal where they were moving to. After everything was moved into the car, he waved goodbye to everyone. Looking at the densely packed tube-shaped buildings, the dilapidated streets, and the homeless children on the side of the road, Old Yang sighed and then let out the most carefree laugh of his life. New Moon Year 92, 1st of September. The weather was clear and the southeast wind was strong. Today was the day of Jiang Dudu's junior high school enrollment. From today onwards, she was a junior high school student. Early in the morning, Zhang Sheng drove Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu to school. "Brother, what do you think Uncle Yang's expression will be when he sees the house?" Jiang Dudu asked with a smile. "I don't know, but I'm sure he's very happy," Jiang Xi said with a smile. "As long as you're happy." Jiang Dudu was very happy. Zhang Sheng, who was driving in the front seat, also smiled. Yesterday afternoon, he was also the one who drove Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu to look at houses. When he found out that Jiang Xi wanted to spend 18 million yuan to buy a house for his former neighbor, he was shocked. He admired Jiang Xi and his sister's way of doing things. They knew how to repay kindness. Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu chatted in the back seat. After half an hour, Jiang Xiai looked out of the car window and was stunned. Uncle Jiang, are we going the wrong way? This is not the way to Beishan No. 1 Junior High School. Haha, that's right. We're going to Daodu's school. Jiang Sheng laughed. Daodu's school is Beishan No. 1 Junior High School. Jiang Xiai was puzzled. Jiang Dudu's grades were good. As soon as she graduated from primary school, she was admitted to Beishan No. 1 Junior High School. Haha. Jiang Dudu and Jiang Sheng laughed at the same time. Jiang Dudu in particular was laughing so hard that she was staggering. Jiang Xiai was confused. At this moment the car stopped. In front of them was Beishan No. 1, which Jiang Xiai was familiar with. Today was also the day when Beishan No. 1 new students entered school. There was a banner hanging on the school gate. Welcome new students. 15 or 16-year-old boys and girls carrying school bags entered the school gate with happy smiles on their faces, accompanied by their parents. In the homeroom teacher's office of Grade 1 Class 3, Jiang Xiai, I didn't expect your sister's grades to be so good. She skipped 3 grades in a row. She passed our Beishan No. 1 Junior High School's entrance exam after graduating from primary school. When I saw that she was your sister, I immediately recruited her. Meng Shanjun shook his head and sighed. Oh. Jiang Xiai nodded absent-mindedly. He was still in a daze. Next to him, Jiang Dudu and Jiang Sheng looked at each other. Jiang Xiai wouldn't be stunned, right? Jiang Xiai indeed hadn't fully digested this shocking news. Jiang Dudu actually took Beishan No. 1's entrance exam behind his back. And she passed it. Can you believe it? In other words, from today onwards, Jiang Dudu was no longer a Grade 1 student, but a Grade 1. You learned all the junior high school textbooks in 2 months? Jiang Xiai asked. To be exact, it was a week over a month, Jiang Dudu said obediently. Oh, okay. Jiang Xiai was deeply shocked. It turned out that he wasn't the best student in this family. After reorganizing his emotions, Jiang Xiai said to Meng Shanjun, Teacher Meng, I'll have to trouble you to help me take care of Jiang Dudu in the future. Haha, no problem. Meng Shanjun laughed. He really liked Jiang Dudu as a student. She was so smart and looked so obedient. She would definitely be a role model for the class in the future. Jiang Dudu, you have to listen to your teacher in the future and study hard. Do you hear me? Jiang Xiai acted like a parent. Understood. Jiang Dudu replied very straightforwardly. After that, Jiang Xiai helped Jiang Dudu with the enrollment procedures. After that, he didn't leave immediately because Beishan No. 1 had a grand opening ceremony every year. As a parent, Jiang Xiai also had to attend. When Jiang Xiai and Jiang Sheng went to the field to wait for the opening ceremony, Jiang Dudu also entered Grade 1 Class 3 by herself. At this time, most of the students in the class had already arrived. The cute little girl with a simple ponytail attracted the attention of all the boys in the class as soon as she entered the classroom. This was because Jiang Dudu obviously looked a few years younger. Jiang Dudu wasn't afraid of strangers at all. Facing the surprised and curious gazes of the crowd, she walked straight to the podium. Pa! She slammed her palm on the steel podium. She used a lot of strength and made a loud noise. The noisy classroom suddenly quieted down. My name is Jiang Dudu. You can call me Sister Daodu from now on. In this class I call the shots. If anyone doesn't like it, come up and fight with me now. Jiang Dudu swept her gaze around aggressively. Silence. Everyone was at the age where they were hot-blooded. How could they be intimidated by someone who was much younger? Little girl, what are you being so arrogant for? A hot-tempered boy immediately stood up. He was a size bigger than his peers and looked very powerful. The surrounding students were so scared that they took a few steps back. Just now, this student did something similar to what Jiang Dudu was doing. This student clenched his fists and walked towards the podium. Then, he looked down from above and viciously glared at Jiang Daodu before sending a slap out. Jiang Daodu slightly frowned. Suddenly, she punched out and smashed into the boy's stomach. Bang! The tall and burly male student was sent flying away. I don't like people talking to me from above. If anyone doesn't like it, next. Jiang Dudu was expressionless. The whole class was so scared that their bodies trembled. What a strong strength. Chapter 51. Some of the new students in the class were from well-off families, and some of them had already undergone martial arts training. Although they were stronger than their peers, they were still far from Jiang Dudu's strength. She could send a person who weighed more than 50 kilograms flying with a single punch. You're all convinced, right? Then what are you waiting for? Call Big Sister Daodu. Jiang Dudu shouted. Big Sister Daodu. Scattered voices rang out. Most of them were unwilling. After all, Jiang Dudu was much younger. Jiang Daodu walked down from the podium and swept her gaze left and right. Her gaze was like a tiger glaring at its prey. It was very intimidating. After looking around, she walked back to the podium and said, "The voices just now weren't uniform enough. Let's do it again." Big Sister Daodu. Uniform voices rang out and spread outside the classroom. Meng Shanjun, who had just walked to the door of the classroom, froze. He saw a scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. Jiang Dudu stood on the podium expressionlessly, while the entire class shouted her name in unison. Something was wrong. Meng Shanjun was a bit suspicious. Was the Jiang Dudu in the office just now and the Jiang Dudu now the same person? He thought that after the opening ceremony, he must have a good talk with Jiang Dudu again. But the next scene made him give up on this plan. Before the opening ceremony, students from other classes were running to the field in a mess. The students of Grade 1, Class 3 were already marching to the field in formation under Jiang Dudu's command. Although they weren't very neat, they still seemed to be somewhat disciplined. These siblings are both talented. Meng Shanjun sighed. Beishan number 1 field. The new students and teachers sat in the front while the parents sat behind. Jiang Xiai and Jiang Shang had been waiting here for a while. Then they saw Jiang Dudu lead the entire class into the field in an orderly manner, attracting a lot of attention. Jiang Xiai and Jiang Shang looked at each other. What happened? After a while, when everyone had arrived, the familiar headmaster of Bright Peak walked up to the grandstand and gave a speech. After a long half an hour, the speech ended. In the end, the principal of Guangming Peak said, "Next, let's invite the representative of the outstanding graduates of the class of 91, a second-year student of Hokuzen Budo Academy, student Han Ingxue, to give a speech to our freshmen." Clapping sounds could be heard. Han Ingxue? Jiang Xiai was stunned. This girl was also a student of Beishan number 1? Class of 91, wasn't that just one class higher than him? I've never seen him before. Han Ingxue, who was dressed neatly, walked up to the spectator stand with a confident smile. His aura was not bad, and his speech was smooth and easy. He had fully stirred up the emotions of the freshmen. After noon, the start of term ceremony ended. Everyone began to leave the venue. Jiang Xiai and Jiang Shang found Jiang Daodu together and prepared to go to Beishan number 1's cafeteria for lunch. Jiang Daodu, what did you do? Are you a squad leader now? Jiang Xiai asked. Something like that, Jiang Daodu said casually. Oh, not bad. Jiang Xiai nodded. Jiang Shang felt that it was definitely not that simple, but he did not say it out loud in front of her. The three of them walked to the cafeteria. Jiang Xiai was very familiar with this place. Although he had only been away for 2 months, it felt like he had been away for 2 years. It felt very different. When they reached the entrance of the cafeteria, they saw Han Ingxue walking toward them with a smile. Student Jiang Xiai, we meet again. Jiang Daodu. Jiang Xiai coughed and said seriously, shouldn't you be eating with the school leaders? Why did you come to the cafeteria? I missed the food here, so I came to try it. It's a rare opportunity. Why don't you treat me to a meal? Han Ingxue said with a smile. Jiang Daodu. She looked at Han Ingxue warily. When did Jiang Xiai know this woman? Jiang Xiai knew other women? What did Jiang Xiai do behind her back? At this time, students and parents came and went at the entrance of the cafeteria. Only Jiang Xi's group and Han Ingxue stood at the entrance of the cafeteria, facing each other. The atmosphere was a little strange. At this time, people suddenly rushed out from the crowd and went straight for Jiang Xiai and the others. 2 of them were barehanded, and the other 2 were holding daggers. Suddenly, there was panic at the entrance of the cafeteria, and the situation became very dangerous. Be careful! Jiang Xiai and Jiang Shang shouted at the same time. What shocked Jiang Xiai was that the 2 barehanded people were both E-class martial artists. Han Ingxue, look after my sister, Uncle Jiang. You go and deal with the one with the dagger. Jiang Xiai hurriedly shouted. As for himself, his figure flashed, and he went to meet the two E-class martial artists. Han Ningxue was protecting Zhang Daodu at the side. She did not make a move to prevent other people from sneaking up on her. The two E-class martial artists had a strange expression, as if they were surprised and somewhat doubtful. However, they did not place riverward in their eyes. Such a young martial artist, his strength was expected to not be that strong. But in the next moment they were shocked. Zhang Xi threw a punch, and it landed on one of them at an extremely fast speed. Under the heavy punch, the other party was sent flying while vomiting blood. D-class. The remaining person exclaimed. Die. Zhang Xi was furious. These people did not come earlier or later. They just had to come when Zhang Daodu started school. It was obvious that they were here for Zhang Daodu. If he did not send Zhang Daodu to school today, and Zhang Daodu was alone, it would be really dangerous. Zhang Xi rarely made enemies with others. The only people he had a grudge with were Shen Guang and the Blood Massacre Squad. It must be them. Initially, he was worried that Shen Guang would deal with Zhang Daodu. He did not expect it to really happen. How ruthless, to hire two E-class martial artists to deal with Zhang Daodu. Retreat quickly. The information is wrong. The E-class martial artist who was sent flying got up and ran. He blended into the crowd and soon disappeared. Bang! Zhang Xi threw another punch at an extremely fast speed. The remaining E-class martial artists could not block it in time and vomited blood. Kaka! Ah! That person screamed. Zhang Xi's foot landed on the E-class martial artist's leg and broke it. At the same time, Zhang Sheng had already subdued the two ordinary people with daggers. This attack ended in less than 30 seconds. Speak. Who sent you? Zhang Xi asked sternly. The other party only shook his head in pain. He was very stubborn. You don't want to speak, right? Zhang Xi laughed angrily and stomped down again. Kaka. The other party's other leg was also broken. Little Zhang, wait for the law enforcement team. Zhang Sheng stopped the somewhat crazy Zhang Xi. On the other side, the two ordinary criminals were so scared that their faces turned pale when they saw this scene. They were afraid that Zhang Xi would also kick them. Zhang Daodu did not come out to stop Zhang Xi. She watched calmly and was not frightened by this bloody and cruel scene. This was because a similar scene had happened many years ago. At that time, she and Zhang Xi were still wandering in Deer Cry district. There were other homeless children who came to snatch her food. Although Zhang Xi's body was weak at that time, he endured injuries and fiercely bit off a large piece of meat from the other party. From then on, no homeless children dared to bully them. Han Ningxue's eyes flickered. It was as if this was the first time she met Zhang Xi and saw another side of Zhang Xi. Soon, a group of law enforcement officers in black rushed over. Zhang Sheng was also a law enforcement officer and knew these law enforcement officers. After briefly explaining the situation, a group of people followed and headed to the Warrior Law Enforcement Bureau located in the Warrior Association building. Chapter 52. Lu Shan was the captain of the first law enforcement team in the Warrior Enforcement Bureau. He happened to be on duty today and paid close attention to Zhang Xi. When he heard about this, he immediately rushed over. After understanding the situation, his many years of experience as a law enforcement officer made him feel that this matter was not so simple. Zhang Xi, are you sure that the criminals came for your sister? Lu Shan asked with a frown. That's right. Zhang Xi nodded and then said, I suspect that Shen Guang and the Blood Massacre team are behind this. I killed Shen Guang's brother, Shen Quan, and he has always wanted to take revenge on me. However, Lu Shan shook his head. Even if they hired criminals, they would not be so stupid as to hire an E-class martial artist. Not only is the price high, but once a martial artist makes a move, the Law Enforcement Bureau will intervene. No martial artist with a legitimate identity is willing to be targeted by the Law Enforcement Bureau. What about the two ordinary criminals? Zhang Xi asked. This is what I don't understand. Why would they hire ordinary people after hiring martial artists? Wait a little longer. We will be able to find out their identities soon. Lu Shan shook his head. Zhang Xi quickly calmed down. He closed his eyes and carefully recalled the situation at that time. At that time, the expressions of the two martial artists seemed to be a little strange. Lu Shan suddenly looked at Han Ningxue and asked, "Are you Han Chuan's daughter? Senior Lu knows my father?" Han Ningxue was surprised. "If that's the case, I understand what's going on." Lu Shan did not answer the question, making people even more puzzled. At this moment, someone knocked on the door and entered. A law enforcement officer walked in and said, "Captain, we have found out the identities of the two E-class martial artists. They are martial artists from the Liberal Alliance." Liberal Alliance? Jiang Xi was a little surprised. Yesterday, he had heard this name from Captain Wang Dalong, but he hadn't paid much attention to it. Zhang Sheng explained to Jiang Xi, "The Liberal Alliance is a loose martial artist alliance. It does not belong to any country. It was spontaneously established by free martial artists all over the world. Its overall strength is very strong, but its cohesion is very poor. Many martial artists who have committed crimes will join it to seek protection." Jiang Xi immediately understood. To put it bluntly, it was an underground martial artist alliance. "Looks like I guessed right. Their target is Miss Han." Lu Shan nodded slightly. Han Ningxue was stunned. She was the target? She had never offended anyone. There was another knock on the door, and another person came in. Everyone looked over and realized that the person who came in was not a law enforcer, but a cold-looking young man in a warrior combat uniform. "Brother, why are you here?" Han Ningxue was stunned. Han Lei first looked at Lu Shan and said, "Han Lei greets Senior Lu." Lu Shan only nodded. Then, Han Lei looked at Han Ningxue with a straight face. "Who allowed you to come out without permission? I'm a living person. I'm not a prisoner." Han Ningxue was slightly angry. "Come home with me," Han Lei shouted in a low voice. His aura was bursting out, and it was frightening. A D-class martial artist. Jiang Xi took a few more glances. This Han Lei looked to be in his 20s. A D-class martial artist in his 20s, another genius. Han Ningxue was very angry, but she couldn't resist Han Lei's stern gaze. In the end, she lowered her head in disappointment. However, she didn't leave immediately. Instead, she walked to Jiang Xi and forced a smile. "Jiang Xi, don't forget that you still owe me a meal." "Jiang Xi. Jiang Daodu." After that, Han Ningxue followed Han Lei and left. "Senior Lu, what's the situation?" Jiang Xi was still very confused. "The Han family's situation is more complicated, so it's not convenient for me to reveal. What I can confirm now is that the two E-class martial artists didn't come for your sister." Lu Shan shook his head lightly. However, Jiang Xi was still a little worried. There were also two ordinary criminals. "Don't worry, I'll personally intervene and investigate this matter," Lu Shan said in a low voice. From this sentence, one could see how important Jiang Xi was to him. This was because he found out from Wang Delong yesterday that Jiang Xi had already reached E-class. In just 2 months he had gone from F-class to E-class. This speed could only be achieved by experts on the global martial arts ranking list, right? This kind of genius was worth him spending so much effort on. Otherwise, with his status and strength, he wouldn't have asked about this kind of gangster attack. With a worried heart, Jiang Xi, Jiang Daodu, and Jiang Sheng left the law enforcement bureau together. When they arrived at the Martial Artist Association, they saw Han Lei standing at the door, as if he was waiting for them. "You're Jiang Xi?" Han Lei asked. "Yes, I am." Jiang Xi nodded calmly. He had heard this many times. "I know you're the first person in history to get full marks for martial arts talent, but you're not worthy of my sister. Stay away from her," Han Lei said with a little arrogance. "Hey, how can you say that? Your sister is not worthy of my brother." Jiang Daodu was unwilling. Han Lei glanced at her coldly, then stared at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi chuckled and said, "Okay." This time Han Lei was stunned. He was prepared to use force to deter them, but he realized that he had punched cotton. "Let's go home and eat." Jiang Xi smiled at Jiang Daodu. They hadn't eaten lunch yet. Then the two of them followed Jiang Sheng into the car and left. In the car, Jiang Xi asked Jiang Sheng curiously, "Uncle Jiang, is the Han family very powerful?" Jiang Sheng nodded solemnly, "Very powerful. When the world changed 100 years ago, the Han family played a big role in Pak Sun province being able to stand firm despite being surrounded by monsters." Jiang Xi was shocked. If that was the case, then they must have a powerful background. Jiang Xi, you like Han Xue? I'm warning you, I don't agree to this marriage. Jiang Daodu said coldly. Are you kidding me? Jiang Xi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ha ha ha. Jiang Sheng also laughed. Pak Sun Province Han family residence. Han Xue went home with a belly full of resentment. Then she closed the door of her bedroom and ignored everyone. Xue, open the door. Han Lei knocked on the door after he came home. Don't bother me. Han Xue said loudly. Qin Feng from Shuntian Prefecture is here. We met when we were young. Let's go out and eat together. I don't care who he is. I'm warning you, don't make any arrangements for me. Han Lei was silent for a while. Then he said earnestly, Xue, you know that the Han family is not an ordinary family. With Jiang Xi's background, even if he has full martial arts talent, it doesn't mean anything. When the world changes again, they will realize that martial artists and martial arts talent are just a joke. Only families like the Han family and the Qin family that have been passed down through generations are the true rulers of the spiritual Qi revival era. So, it's impossible between you and him. Wake up. Also, let me remind you one last time. The world has changed. You can't run around like before. After that, Han Lei shook his head and left. In the bedroom, Han Xue hugged her legs and looked out the window quietly. She understood what Han Lei said. But Jiang Xi was different. Otherwise, she wouldn't have snuck out today to attend Beishan No. 1's opening ceremony. She had found out through her family that Jiang Xi's sister would be entering Beishan No. 1 today. Hard work will pay off. I won't give up. Han Xue was determined. Chapter 53. After returning to Genten Budokan, Jiang Xi was considering if Jiang Dudu should take a break from school for a period of time. She could only resume her studies after this matter was investigated and confirmed that there was no danger. Little Jiang, don't worry. Since the deputy dojo master has decided to intervene personally, there won't be many people in Pak Sun province who would dare to play tricks unless they don't want to live anymore. Jiang Sheng was very confident in Lu Shan. Jiang Xi, however, was skeptical. It was better to be cautious. Moreover, Daodu's current strength is not simple. Her martial arts talent is almost 50 points, and her strength is close to 400 kilograms. 2 or 3 ordinary people are no match for her. Jiang Sheng revealed another shocking fact to Jiang Xi. Uncle Jiang, are you kidding? Daodu's martial arts training has only been going on for 2 months. Jiang Xi's mouth was wide open. Jiang Dudu nodded proudly and laughed. Brother, I told you before. I, Jiang Dudu, want to be a girl with 200 points in martial arts talent. Jiang Xi shook his head in disbelief. In the end, Jiang Xi personally tested Jiang Dudu in the dojo. Only then did he truly believe that Jiang Dudu had indeed become extraordinary. After all this time, it turned out that Jiang Dudu was the real genius in this family. Jiang Xi was very clear about his own capabilities. If he didn't have the experience panel with his original weak body, he would have been a complete noob in martial arts. Jiang Xi was very happy to know this result. With this, Jiang Dudu had the ability to protect herself, and he could rest assured. In the next few days, Jiang Xi focused on improving his strength while Jiang Dudu officially started her high school life. On this day, Jiang Xi was called to the Genten Budokan office to see Lu Shan again. Senior Lu, have you found out? Jiang Xi was very calm and was not as impulsive as last time. Yes, the target of the 2 ordinary criminals was indeed your sister. The underground organization they belonged to had been entrenched in Pak Sun province for many years and had harmed the families of many martial artists. Last night, they were cleaned up by the Law Enforcement Bureau. Lu Shan's expression was not very good because this was the failure of the Law Enforcement Bureau. Was it ordered by Shen Guang and the Bloodthirst Squad? Jiang Xi asked. This was what he was concerned about. I can't find any evidence. The contact information of this underground organization is very secretive. Even they themselves don't know who the employer is. Lu Shan shook his head. However, according to your speculation, Shen Guang and the Bloodthirst Squad are indeed very suspicious. I will send people from the Law Enforcement Bureau to keep an eye on them. The problem is that once they go to the wilderness, the Law Enforcement Bureau can't do anything. So, you must be careful when you meet them in the future. Riverward took a deep breath and nodded seriously. From the looks of it, he would have to rely on himself to deal with this threat. Strength. He still needed to improve his strength. This was the era of martial artists. Only with enough strength could one not be afraid of threats and protect the people around them. After Jiang Xi left, a stout middle-aged man came to Lu Shan. "Brother Han, are you here because of what happened a few days ago?" Lu Shan asked directly. Han Chuan did not hold back. "Did you find out who it was?" "Song Hai from Yunshan Martial Arts School. It's a pity that he escaped early," Lu Shan said in a low voice. "A few years ago I felt that there was something wrong with Song Hai. Fortunately I found out this time. Otherwise he would have been hiding in the dark. It would have been hard to guard against him." Han Chuan sighed. Lu Shan nodded slightly. A C-class martial artist hiding in the dark would be a big threat if he was up to no good. "Also, help me thank that young man called Jiang Xi. If it wasn't for him, Ying Shui would have been in danger." Han Chuan added. "That's easy. Pay up." Lu Shan stretched out his hand. Han Chuan shook his head and smiled bitterly. "You haven't changed at all." Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. New Moon Year 92, October 15th. At the entrance of Tongtian District, other than Zhou Yang, the other 4 members of the Mad Dragon squad gathered again. They were ready to leave for the wilderness. They had originally planned to leave on September 30th. However, Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng had not fully digested the D-class body-strengthening medicine. Therefore, they delayed their departure by half a month. The 4 of them were fully armed. They waved goodbye to their families and left. Zhang Daodu stood at the entrance of the district. When Jiang Xi's back could no longer be seen, she turned around and went home without saying a word. "Jiang Xi, if you die outside, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost." The same words were said in her heart this time. The 4 members of the Mad Dragon squad took a private car and arrived at the Martial Artist Association's 88th floor restaurant. As the train to the outside of the city had not arrived yet, they decided to have a small gathering here first. In the past month, everyone's strength has improved. From today onwards, all members of our squad will be D-class. Wang Delong said happily. Jiang Xi and the other 2 laughed as well. Especially Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng. After using the D-class body-strengthening medicine, they had successfully entered the ranks of D-class martial artists. "Leader, since our squad is so strong, why don't we do something big and go to a bigger ruined city?" Lu Hao said excitedly. A bigger ruined city. Not only Lu Hao but Jiang Xi and Tian Chenfeng were also tempted. The bigger the ruined city, the more monsters there would be hiding in it. Correspondingly, it would be easier to encounter powerful monsters. "That's what I was thinking. But I'm thinking of going to ruin number 09. What do you guys think?" Wang Delong laughed. "Ruin number 09. Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng were shocked. "Leader, isn't this too risky? Ruin number 09 is ranked 9th in the wilderness ruins around the prefectural cities of Dexia country," Lu Hao said. Tian Chenfeng also said, "Leader, why don't we go to ruin number 52? There are fewer mountains there and the danger level is above average. With our squad's current strength it's just right." Jiang Xi's eyes moved slightly, but he did not say anything. Ruin number 09, the old era Huizhou city. As a normal prefectural city in the old era, in this era, it was ranked 9th in the wilderness of Dexia country. The reason was very simple. This was because the famous E Mountain was right next to ruin number 09. In the legends, it was the place where the Yellow Emperor became an immortal by refining pills. Although the legends were mostly illusory, after the revival of spirit qi, many strange things happened there. As a result, the monsters living in E Mountain also became much stronger than other places. Ruin number 09 was the closest city to E Mountain in the old era. In the new era, the number of powerful monsters hiding in the ruins was innumerable. In comparison, ruin number 52, which was the old era Luzhou city, was a flat land with a hilly terrain. There were fewer mountains, so the danger level was lower. When Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng gave their opinions, Wang Delong looked at Jiang Xi and laughed. "Jiang Xi, what do you think?" Jiang Xi thought for a moment and laughed lightly. "Warriors, of course, have to be challenging. I agree with leader's opinion." "Haha, that's right. Lu Hao, Chenfeng, don't worry. Ruin number 09 is so big. We're not going to the most dangerous place right away. We'll do it step by step. Wang Dalong laughed and said. Only then did Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng nod their heads in relief. Chapter 54. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the train heading out of the city arrived. They needed to go to the Northern Mountains Army's barracks and take a military transport plane to ruin number 09. Otherwise, they would waste a lot of time in the wilderness if they relied on foot strength. Ruin number 09 was nearly 600 kilometers away from Pak Sun province. It only took them half an hour to arrive by military transport plane. Half an hour later, the Berserk Dragon Squad's transport plane landed. After getting off the plane, they arrived at the barracks. However, this army was called the Zhini Army. This army did not belong to any prefectural city and was directly under the jurisdiction of the Xia Kingdom. Their mission was to guard E Mountain and ruin number 09. Since there were many monsters here, they had to be wary of a large-scale beast tide. The resting area of the Zhini Army's barracks was larger than that of the Northern Mountains Army. The number of martial artists coming and going in the resting area was also greater than that of the Northern Mountains Army's resting area. Moreover, many of them had an imposing aura. Wang Dalong reminded them with a serious expression, "Be careful when you walk and speak. There are many people in this resting area that we can't afford to offend. For example, that muscular man with a huge sword on his back is a Class A martial artist from Shu Mountain Prefecture, Guayu. The one who came down from dormitory number 3 over there is Gu Feng from Shuntian Prefecture." Jiang Xi and the other two looked in the direction that Wang Dalong was pointing at. Very strong. The three of them were shocked. They could see 2 Class A martial artists at a glance. One could imagine the number of powerful martial artists in this resting area. Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng were originally very confident after becoming Class D martial artists. However, they restrained their confidence now. Jiang Xi also became more cautious. In addition to Wang Dalong's reminder, he had also seen quite a few B-class and C-class martial artists during this time. There were even many foreign martial artists. As expected, there are the most martial artists in the wilderness. It's rare to see a Class C martial artist in the prefectural city. Moreover, not only are there martial artists from the 7 prefectural cities of the Xia Kingdom, but there are also many foreign martial artists who come to ruin number 09 to hunt the powerful monsters here. Jiang Xi thought to himself as expected of ruin number 09. It's the Berserk Dragon Squad? They came to ruin number 09 too? Some of the martial artists from Pak Sun province saw the Mad Dragon Squad. I remember that their team has always been quite strong. They're finally willing to come to a bigger ruin. I heard that they have a newcomer recently. I wonder how strong he is. Hey old Wang, do you want to form a team to hunt a C-class monster? Someone shouted. Wang Dalong smiled and waved his hand. Then, he led Jiang Xi and the others into the dormitory. I'm going to gather some information and bring some supplies back. You guys rest for a while and prepare to enter ruin number 09 in the afternoon. Wang Dalong said and left. Jiang Xi and the other two didn't talk much as they lay on their respective beds to rest. Everyone knew that once they entered the wilderness, they wouldn't have such a good chance to rest. After all, they were in the dangerous ruin number 09. Jiang Xi closed his eyes and opened the experience panel. Level, Flesh Tempering Grade E240165000, Cultivation Method. 9 Elements Heart Method Martial Skill, 9 Elements Sword Technique, Refinement. 881-8000, Wine Shadow Steps, Small Mastery. 388-15000, Force Exertion 333 Experience. 487 After 1.5 months of training, Jiang Xi's strength had improved again. Especially since his 9-element sword technique had reached the refinement realm. Correspondingly, his force exertion had increased by 3 times. An increase in force exertion also meant an increase in attack power. Last time when I was ambushed by the Blood Massacre Squad in the wilderness, my speed surpassed many D-class martial artists. However, my actual combat power barely reached D-class. Now my attack power has also increased. With just my attack power, I can kill a D-class monster alone. In the afternoon, the 4 of them were fully equipped. They stepped out of the Zhini Army's military camp and headed straight for ruin number 09. At dusk, the ruins of a city appeared in front of them. Boom! 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 Roar! Roar! The sound of explosions and the shocking roars of monsters could be heard continuously. It was the sound of martial artists and monsters fighting. Whoosh! In the sky above ruin number 09, a huge bird flew by at a low altitude, bringing with it a tornado. It directly grabbed a monster and soared into the sky again. The giant bird was hunting. Further away, clouds and mist lingered. Green mountains could be vaguely seen. It was the legendary E Mountain. This is the place where the strong gather. When Riverward saw this scene, he couldn't maintain his composure. His heart surged as he waved his fist. Mad Dragon Squad, let's go! Wang Dalong shouted. The 4 members of the Mad Dragon Squad were excited and rushed to ruin number 09. After entering the ruins, Wang Dalong used his tactical communications watch to open the map and made preparations before the hunt. Our first stronghold will be at the edge of ruin number 09, Shanshui District. The terrain there is open and the view is good. It is very suitable for hunting. When we move, I will be in front and Jiang Xi will be at the back. Lu Hao Chunfeng, you two be careful. Do not make any noise. There are many monsters here. If we are surrounded by a group of monsters, it might be more dangerous than when the Blood Massacre Squad ambushed us. Lu Hao and Tian Chunfeng nodded. Jiang Xi, on the other hand, was paying attention to his surroundings. It was best to be cautious. Just like what Wang Dalong said, the density of monsters here was very high. Within a radius of 100 meters, he saw more than 10 monsters. Most of them were grady. This place is close to E Mountain. The types of monsters are also very different. Other than the monsters that evolved from domestic animals, there are also many mountain monsters such as jackals, wolves, tigers, and leopards. These monsters are even stronger. Jiang Xi was very careful. The 4 of them were not slow. However, in such an environment, they did not dare to speed up. Instead, they were very careful as they hurried along. They kept taking detours to avoid the groups of monsters. After a full hour, they finally arrived at Shanshui District, which was not too far away. One of the relatively intact 32-story residential buildings was their stronghold. This time there were also many monsters in the building. The 4 of them killed their way through and soon arrived at the 31st floor. This time they did not run to the roof. This was because it was different from ruin number 0724. In the sky above ruin number 09, there were often powerful flying monsters circling. If they were targeted, they would not even know how they died. Therefore, everyone directly stayed in a suite on the 31st floor. The suite was a standard 3-room suite. After 100 years, this place had long become dilapidated. It was filled with a rotten and moldy smell. However, for safety, these were all things that had to be endured. Let's rest for the night. We will officially start the hunt tomorrow, Wang Dalong said. Jiang Xi and the other 2 nodded. After rushing for almost a day, they indeed needed to rest. Ruin number 09 was very dangerous. They had to be in their best condition to deal with it. At night, they took turns to rest. Each of them guarded for 2 hours. This was because there was no telling when a monster would appear. Late at night, boom, boom, a violent explosion sounded from afar, waking everyone up. Jiang Xi reacted the fastest. He jumped up and looked towards the direction of the city. In the dark night, smoke and dust were rolling in the distance. The scene was shocking. There was a huge battle there. Chapter 55. There's movement coming from the city. Who's crazy enough to hunt monsters in the middle of the night? Everyone was shocked. Wang Dalong opened the map on his tactical communications watch and looked at it. His expression was serious. There's a 2-headed demonic wolf in that direction. It's one of the strongest A-class monsters in ruin number 09. Only those on the global martial arts expert ranking list would dare to hunt such a monster in the middle of the night. Looks like we'll have to be more careful in tomorrow's hunt. Now that there's such a huge commotion, the monsters in the city will definitely go crazy tomorrow. 2-headed demonic wolf? Jiang Xi remembered the monster information he read on the Xiantian forum. There was an introduction to the 2-headed demonic wolf. 2-headed demonic wolves were very difficult to deal with. Usually, 2 fighters of the same rank would be needed to deal with it. A-class fighters and A-class monsters. When could he reach A-class? Jiang Xi yearned for it. The next morning, the 4 members of the Mad Dragon Squad were ready to set off. Their base had a high vantage point and could control most of the vision within 5 kilometers. Wang Dalong said, "Quickly check the surroundings and look for suitable targets. We'll focus on D-class monsters to get used to the environment of ruin number 09. Then we'll look for C-class monsters." Soon Jiang Xi saw a D-class monster strolling leisurely 2 kilometers away through the binoculars. There were only 3 E-class monsters beside it. "Captain, I found a D-class monster. It's very suitable for hunting." After confirming the target, everyone immediately left the base and headed towards it, because it was close to E Mountain. At dawn, ruin number 09 was shrouded in a thick fog. Such an environment had its pros and cons. It was suitable for hiding their tracks, but they had to be wary of monsters attacking from the fog at all times. The Mad Dragon Squad carefully ran all the way. Soon they saw their target. It was a 3-meter-tall D-class mega-teethed blood mastiff. There were 3 E-class bloodthirsty mastiffs beside it. They were 1 size smaller. Dog-type monsters had very sensitive noses. The mega-teethed blood mastiff also noticed the Mad Dragon Squad immediately. "Roar!" The 4 mastiffs roared together. "Jiang Xi and I will deal with the mega-teethed blood mastiff. Lu Hao, Chunfeng, you guys hold back the 3 little ones." Wang Dalong quickly commanded. His and Riverward's speed suddenly increased as they charged forward. Whoosh! The ground cracked. The saber-toothed blood mastiff leaped high into the air, opened its bloody mouth, and pounced towards Jiang Xi and Wang Dalong. "Captain, you take the left, I'll take the right." Jiang Xi's figure swayed, and he gracefully dodged the pounce. Then, he arrived at the right side of the giant-toothed blood mastiff. Previously, in order to charge out of the horde of beasts, he had already used wind shadow steps. Therefore, there was no need to hide anymore. He used his fastest speed. At the same time, the C-grade Shadow's Lair sword streaked across the air with a cold glint. Along with some misty sword shadows, it swept towards the mastiff. Poochie! The saber-toothed blood mastiff's abdomen was directly cut open, leaving a foot-deep wound. Roar! The megalodon blood mastiff was in pain, and its steel-like tail attacked Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi turned around and retreated a few steps, retreating after 1 strike. So fast. Wang Dalong was shocked. He had just arrived at the left side of the megalodon blood mastiff, and he hadn't even swung his sword. He's even faster than a month ago. This kid. Fuck, if I don't work harder, I'll be left in the dust. Wang Dalong was surprised and happy. He became more serious and swung his sword. Poochie! It also caused damage to the megalodon blood mastiff. During this month, he hadn't been idle. His sword skills had improved again. Roar! Jiang Xi and Wang Dalong continued to attack. The megalodon blood mastiff went crazy. Its speed was not as fast as Jiang Xi's, and its attack was not as good as Jiang Xi's and Wang Dalong's. Its only advantage was its large size and thick blood. Rumble! Its 3-meter-tall body rampaged through the ruins trying to escape. However, the buildings densely packed within the ruins were now an obstacle to its escape. Smoke and dust mixed with the thick fog constantly churned. Die! Jiang Xi saw the opportunity and fiercely stabbed his sword. Chi! The sharp blade of the C-grade killer shadow sword instantly broke through the defense of the megalodon blood mastiff's neck. With a sudden swing, the huge blood mastiff's head was almost chopped off. You killed a D-grade megalodon blood mastiff. Experience plus 50 rumble. The 3-meter-tall, 5-meter-long megalodon blood mastiff fell to the ground with a loud bang. Haha, satisfying. Wang Dalong laughed loudly. Jiang Xi's expression was calm and relaxed. In the past, they had to spend a lot of effort to kill a D-grade monster. Now, the 2 of them easily killed it in a short period of time. On the other side, Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng also quickly killed 3 E-grade bloodthirsty mastiffs. After that, the team of 4 harvested the materials from the 4 monsters and immediately left the area to search for their next target. An hour later, the 4 of them found another D-grade monster suitable for hunting. There were no more than 10 small monsters around them. This time they only used 10 minutes to kill all of them. They searched for another target. Hunt. Harvest. Next. The speed of the hunt was surprisingly fast. It was beyond everyone's imagination. At dusk, the Mad Dragon squad finished their hunt and returned to Shanshui residential area. One day we killed 8 D-grade monsters in just one day. The 4 of them were extremely excited. Their harvest in one day was equivalent to 10 days' worth of harvest in Ruin 0724. 8 D-grade monsters. If they sold the materials, they would earn more than 10 million. As for why their hunting efficiency was so high, Zhang Xi also concluded the reason after he calmed down. First of all, the density of monsters in Ruin 09 was high. The number of D-grade monsters had increased. Secondly, the D-grade monsters in Ruin 09 had very few underlings around them. There was almost no gathering of monsters. Unlike the D-class monster in Ruin number 0724, which had hundreds of underlings gathered around it at every turn. Without the gathering of monsters, the difficulty of hunting was reduced. In Ruin 0724, D-grade monsters were kings. In Ruin 09, D-grade monsters became silver. Soon half a month had passed. The Mad Dragon squad gradually adapted to the environment in the periphery of Ruin 09. Their hunting efficiency also increased. They originally thought that the first day's harvest was already a lot. Later they realized that the first day was the least. After half a month, the D-grade monsters they hunted and the materials they obtained were worth more than 600 million. According to their share this time, Wang Dalong and Zhang Xi would get 30% each, while Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng would get 20% each. After careful calculation, Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng had already earned back the money they spent on the D-grade body-strengthening medicine. Wang Dalong and Zhang Xi's income was close to 200 million. It had only been half a month. Terrifying earning speed. While resting in the stronghold, the 4 of them began to plan their next hunt. During this period of hunting, not only did everyone adapt to the environment of Ruin number 09, but we've also familiarized ourselves with our new abilities. Next, we can go hunt C-grade monsters. Wang Dalong looked at everyone with anticipation in his eyes. Zhang Xi nodded and smiled. We still need to go deeper into Ruin 09. The strongest monster they could see in the periphery was only D-grade. C-grade monsters were almost non-existent. Haha. Then let's start from tomorrow. The 4 of them laughed. Chapter 56. The next day, everyone left the stronghold and went deep into Ruin number 09. As they got closer to the city, the number of monsters increased significantly. In the thick morning fog, they could vaguely see the figures of some powerful monsters. Loud roars could be heard continuously. Be careful, be careful. Zhang Xi emphasized in his heart. The 4 of them carefully searched for suitable targets in the ruins. A low roar could be heard from the thick fog not far away. Zhang Xi could feel the monster's aura coming from that direction. Captain C-Class. Zhang Xi said softly. Let's go. Wang Dalong nodded. Everyone went to a high place and used binoculars to see the target. C-Class monster, golden-back blue wolf, it's a big guy. Wang Dalong said in surprise. Zhang Xi's eyes also lit up as he observed carefully. Not far away there was a huge wolf-type monster. Its back was covered in golden fur, while the rest of its body was gray. The aura it emitted was shocking. Near it there were more than 10 other wolf-type monsters. One of them was D-class while the rest were E-class. Should we do it? Wang Dalong looked at Zhang Xi. Let's do it. Zhang Xi was eager to try. After his strength increased, he had not used his full strength yet. Let's go. The 4 of them jumped down from a high place and rushed towards the golden-back blue wolf. The golden-back blue wolf immediately noticed the 4 of them. It growled, and a hint of disdain flashed through its intelligent eyes. Following its growl, the other wolf-type monsters seemed to have received an order and rushed towards the Berserk Dragon squad. D-class and C-class was a dividing line. After a monster reached C-class, its intelligence would increase greatly. It would no longer be bloodthirsty and crazy like before, and would become harder to deal with. The 4 members of the Berserk Dragon squad had a clear division of labor. Zhang Xi and Wang Dalong would deal with the monster leader, the C-class golden-back blue wolf. Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng would deal with the other wolf-type monsters. The pressure on the 4 of them was great. They had to be 120% alert. Whoosh! Whoosh! The golden-back blue wolf was very fast. Even Jiang Xi could barely keep up with it. Wang Dalong was clearly not as strong as he wanted to be, and was almost caught a few times. Fuck. Wang Dalong rolled on the ground and dodged a dangerous attack. Captain, I'll be the main attacker this time, Jiang Xi quickly said. As he spoke, he executed wind shadow steps. His movement speed instantly increased, making it hard for others to track him down. Facing the golden-backed blue wolf, he launched another attack. 9 elements sword art. Jiang Xi's eyes flashed. He leaped up and slashed out with his sword, 3 times the normal power. He was confident that the power of this attack was close to that of a C-class. Under the extreme speed, the golden-backed blue wolf didn't have time to turn around. The sword struck the root of its hind leg, and a horrifying wound appeared. Oh! The gold-backed blue wolf howled. The steel-like wolf tail swept over. Retreat! After Jiang Xi landed on the ground, he lightly tapped his feet and used a mysterious footwork to avoid the sweep. This brat! Wang Dalong was shocked speechless. He didn't expect that Jiang Xi's attack had also become stronger. Captain, don't just stand there. I can't handle it alone, Jiang Xi shouted. The gold-backed blue wolf's attention was attracted by him. The pressure was great. Just now, he relied on his speed to execute that attack. His real attack power was still a little lacking. It was very difficult to kill a C-class monster alone. Haha, it's coming. Wang Dalong laughed loudly. Taking advantage of the fact that Jiang Xi was restraining the gold-backed blue wolf's attention, he rolled his broadsword and attacked. Now that the two of them had switched, it meant that the strength that Jiang Xi had displayed had surpassed his. However, Wang Dalong had his own pride. He didn't want to be easily defeated by this brat. Captain Jiang Xi, hurry up. We can't hold on any longer. Lu Hao also shouted. He and Tian Chenfeng were trying their best to block the siege of the other wolf-type monsters. They were facing a D-class and more than 10 E-class monsters they could only delay for a while. I have to speed up. The sword just now injured the gold-backed blue wolf's left hind leg. Its speed and agility will definitely decrease a lot. Attack its weakness. Jiang Xi maintained his calm. When he attacked, he quickly analyzed. The sharp blade of the C-class killer shadow sword continuously attacked the left side of the gold-backed blue wolf's body. The gold-backed blue wolf chased Jiang Xi left and right in the ruins of the building. However, it was dodged by Jiang Xi every time. Wind Shadow Step was a high-level Gen 10 Budokan treasure-level movement technique. Jiang Xi was close to microcosmic, which allowed his movement technique speed and agility to barely reach C-class. The gold-backed blue wolf was not good at speed. In addition, its leg was injured. Its speed and agility were even worse than Jiang Xi's. Another sword. The blade pierced through the gold-backed blue wolf's waist and abdomen. Blood splattered and dyed the area red. Its speed and agility decreased again. Good, Wang Dalong said happily. At the same time, he also slashed the gold-backed blue wolf's neck, causing a serious injury. Roar! The gold-backed blue wolf's roar also became weaker. Die! Jiang Xi was expressionless. He stepped on the wall of the ruins beside him and jumped high. He held the sword with both hands and stabbed it down fiercely. More than 3 times the force. The blade of the killer shadow sword carried a huge force and instantly sank into the gold-backed blue wolf's head through its eyes. The gold-backed blue wolf's body uncontrollably rushed forward for a distance and fell into the ruins with a bang. You killed a C-class monster, gold-backed blue wolf. Experience plus 70. When the remaining wolf-type monsters saw that their boss was killed, they became even crazier. They tore and pounced even more fiercely. Haha, Captain Jiang Xi, well done. But you guys should quickly come and help. Lu Hao shouted. Now that the C-class monster was dead, the remaining ones were no longer a threat. Jiang Xi and Wang Dalong looked at each other and smiled. They immediately rushed towards the wolf-type monsters. The wolf-type monsters would not run away because of the death of their leader. This was their nature. Soon, the 4 of them worked together and killed the even crazier wolf-type monsters. Looking at the monster corpses all over the ground, the 4 of them laughed at the same time. These were all money. Especially the C-class monster, gold-backed blue wolf. It could barely be considered the king of the wolf-type monsters. The materials on its body were worth about 800 million. Jiang Xi, you brat, don't suddenly explode. It's scary. Wang Dalong teased. Captain, I'm thinking after this hunt is over, will Jiang Xi level up again and become a D-class martial artist? Then, his actual combat power will be comparable to a C-class? Tian Chenfeng laughed. They all knew that Jiang Xi was still an E-class martial artist. It's very possible. Lu Hao agreed. Damn, if this goes on, he'll be an A-class by the new year? Wang Dalong opened his eyes wide and looked at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi shook his head and laughed lightly. Don't be so exaggerated, I'm not a monster. You are. The three of them said in unison and then laughed loudly. Alright, let's hurry up and harvest the materials. With such a big commotion just now, it might attract other monsters. Jiang Xi laughed. Reach a class by the new year? Jiang Xi knew his limits. He looked at the panel. It would be good if he could reach D class by the new year. Level, Flesh Tempering 315-16500, Cultivation Technique. 9 Elements Heart Technique Martial Technique, 9 Elements Sword Technique. Refinement 1631800, Wind Shadow Steps. Small Success 4631500, Force Exertion 3. 61 Experience Points, 5506. According to his current progress, he would need another 2 months to reach D class by increasing 50 experience points every day. Moreover, the higher the level, the more experience he would need. Correspondingly, the time he would need to increase each level would also increase. Of course, this was just a joke. Jiang Xi did not take it to heart. Immediately, the four of them began to harvest the materials on the ground. At this moment, in the thick fog far away, the sound of messy footsteps could be heard. Someone was approaching. Be alert! Wang Dalong shouted. The four of them immediately surrounded each other. Chapter 57. The next moment, 8 figures broke through the thick fog and appeared in front of the Berserk Dragon Squad. Blood Massacre Squad. The eyes of the 4 members of the Berserk Dragon Squad instantly turned red with anger. However, no one made a move because other than the 4 members of the Blood Massacre Squad, there was another 4-member martial artist squad. Moreover, this martial artist squad was even stronger. Jiang Xi cast his gaze on one of the white-haired old men. A C-class martial artist. It's the Berserk Dragon Squad. He Shu's eyes narrowed. Then he saw the huge corpse of the goldback blue wolf in the ruins behind the Berserk Dragon Squad. C-class goldback blue wolf. He Shua revealed a greedy look. Not only him, but the remaining 7 people also saw it and were very tempted. The goldback blue wolf was worth at least 800 million and it was already dead. Shen Guangxing glared hatefully at Jiang Xi, and then at the goldback blue wolf. He licked his lips and looked at He Shua. Captain. He Shua was about to say something when he suddenly noticed that other than Jiang Xi, the rest of the Berserk Dragon Squad were all D-class martial artists. When did the Berserk Dragon Squad become so strong? Thinking of the previous time when he plotted against the Berserk Dragon Squad, he immediately felt threatened. Therefore, he quickly whispered to a curly-haired young man beside him. Young Master Feng, what do you think? The young man's eyes were also filled with greed. He nodded gently. It's my first time in the wilderness and I met this goldback blue wolf. This means that it's fated with me. He Shua heaved a sigh of relief and stepped forward. He sneered. Wang Dalong, did you hear that? This goldback blue wolf is fated with young Master Feng of the Hurricane Squad. If you don't want to die, get out of here. Fucking Blood Massacre Squad. Captain, let's fight it out with them. Lu Hao said angrily. Wang Dalong stared at the Blood Massacre Squad and looked at the white-haired old man fearfully. He then said in a low voice, let's go. The 4 of them could kill a C-class monster, but it did not mean that they could kill a C-class martial artist. Moreover, there was still the Blood Massacre Squad and the other 3 martial artists. As for the goldback blue wolf's corpse, no matter how valuable it was not as important as their lives. Wait! Jiang Xi suddenly everyone's attention. Wang Dalong looked at Jiang Xi suspiciously. Why aren't you leaving? The members of the Blood Kill Squad were delighted to see this. In He Shua's plan, if the Berserk Dragon Squad retreated, they would have gained a goldback blue wolf for free. If they didn't retreat, then on their side, there was the Hurricane Squad C-class fighter Senior Marble. They could take advantage of this opportunity to eliminate the hidden danger that was the Mad Dragon Squad. Jiang Xi turned to the white-haired old man and said calmly, "Senior, if I'm not wrong, the most important person in your team should be the person behind you." As he spoke, Jiang Xi pointed at the curly-haired young man behind the old man, the one who called himself Feng Xiaocheng. The old man frowned slightly and didn't say anything. "If you want the gold-backed blue wolf, sure. However, you should know that martial artists are all hot-blooded. Our wild dragon squad will fight to the death. We won't kill the rest of you, but we'll kill him." Jiang Xi revealed a ruthless expression as he stared fixedly at Feng Xiaocheng. "That's right. At worst we'll die. It's not a loss to fight to the death of one. If we fight to the death of two, we'll make a profit." Lu Hao laughed. Wang Delong took a deep breath and nodded at the same time as Tian Shenfeng to express their attitude. He Shua and the others' faces changed because Jiang Xi was right. Their side was indeed very strong, but they also had a weakness. It was the curly-haired young man that Jiang Xi had pointed at, Feng Xiaocheng of the Hurricane Squad. Feng Xiaocheng's face was gloomy. He was very angry that he was threatened in front of his face. He said loudly, "Uncle Yuan, kill them." The white-haired old man, Marble, snorted coldly. He stared at Jiang Xi and then said to Feng Xiaocheng, "Young master, our main mission in the wilderness this time is to improve your combat ability. I think it's better for you to hunt monsters yourself." Feng Xiaocheng's face was full of anger. In the end, he said hatefully, "Let's go." The 4 members of the Blood Kill Squad revealed looks of pity, but they had no choice but to leave. When they were really far away, Jiang Xi and the others breathed a sigh of relief. "Good job, Jiang Xi." Wang Delong patted Jiang Xi's shoulder. Jiang Xi smiled gently. Everyone thought that the strongest person in the squad was the key person. After careful observation, he realized that Feng Xiaocheng was the important person. "Hurry up or else more people will come later." Jiang Xi laughed. The 4 of them quickly collected all the monster materials and left quickly. For safety, they did not return to the stronghold yesterday. Instead, they left the area and went along the periphery of ruin number 09. They came to another direction and found a new stronghold. In a high-rise commercial building, the 4 of them hid their tracks. When they sat down, everyone was silent. They all thought about the encounter with the Bloodkill Squad. After a while, Wang Delong said, "I didn't expect the Bloodkill Squad to come to ruin number 09 too. It's a pity that they are with a Class C warrior. Otherwise, they would have killed them." Lu Hao's face was full of pity. Tian Shenfeng nodded in agreement. Now that their strength had increased, they were confident that they could kill the Bloodkill Squad. "As long as we know that they are in ruin number 09, we will have a chance." Jiang Xi remained calm. He stood by the window and looked at the ruined buildings outside. It was because of the Bloodkill Squad's plot that Zhou Yang lost half of his arm. Moreover, the 2 normal criminals who attacked Jiang Dudu and Beishan number 1 were most likely ordered by Shangguang from the Bloodkill Squad. These people must die. Alright, let's not think about these annoying things first. Today's harvest is huge. It's worth celebrating. Wang Delong laughed. Everyone laughed. Right. Huge harvest. Class C Goldenback Blue Wolf, the king of the wolf-type monsters. Its entire body was worth more than 800 million yuan. This was their first time killing a Class C monster, and their harvest was already so huge. How big would the harvest be later? The 4 of them could not help but look forward to it. At the same time, in a high-rise building in ruin number 09, the Bloodkill Squad and the Hurricane Squad were resting there. "Young master, you have improved a lot today. You are now able to deal with Class E monsters alone. However, you still need to improve your on-the-spot response during battle. Tomorrow, we will look for more Class E monsters to improve your combat skills." The white-haired old man, Marble, was guiding Feng Xiaocheng. "Uncle Yuan, I am already a Class D fighter. Let's practice with Class D monsters tomorrow." Feng Xiaocheng was eager to try. This was his first time in the wilderness and he had already killed a Class E monster. He felt a sense of accomplishment. "Young master, training is about gradual progress. You can't achieve it overnight. I believe that with your talent, you will soon be able to deal with a Class D monster alone." Marble laughed. Feng Xiaocheng's face was filled with impatience, indicating that he was bored. The Blood Kill Squad was on guard duty outside the room to prevent monsters from attacking. Their purpose in Ruin Number 09 was not to kill monsters. Their main mission was to protect Feng Xiaoqing. When the four of them heard the conversation between Marble and Feng Xiaoqing, they looked at each other with disdain in their eyes. They recalled the scene of Feng Xiaoqing killing monsters today. He was already a Class D fighter. Killing a Class E monster still required a lot of effort. Under normal circumstances, between a fighter and a monster of the same class, the fighter would definitely be stronger. This was because humans had intelligence but monsters did not. Damn, isn't it just a good background? This was the thought in the Blood Kill Squad's mind. Chapter 58. Although the Blood Massacre Squad had the same thought, they were still envious. This was the difference between a martial artist with a good background and a martial artist with a poor background. Martial artists with a good background like Feng Xiaoqing had reached D class at a young age with all kinds of cultivation resources that ordinary people could not get their hands on. Then, through such wilderness training, they improved their combat ability step by step. Moreover, during the training, there were C-class martial artists to protect them. As if that was not enough, they also invited the Blood Massacre Squad to help guard them. In comparison, martial artists with poor backgrounds like them had been fighting monsters in the wilderness ever since they became martial artists. They improved their strength through life and death training. If they were not careful, they might die. Captain, what about Zhang Xiai and the Berserk Dragon Squad? Shen Guang asked softly. He was very worried. The feud had been formed, but Zhang Xiai and the Berserk Dragon Squad were getting stronger. It had only been 2 to 3 months. Shen Guang even suspected that the next time he saw Zhang Xiai, he would be the one to escape. He Shua's gaze turned cold. I've already prepared for this. I'll ask Senior Marble for help later. This time, the Berserk Dragon Squad will stay in Ruin 09. Captain, are you confident? Shen Guang was surprised. When we met the Berserk Dragon Squad during the day, I released the bug tracker. Senior Marble is a C-class martial artist. Isn't it easy to annihilate the Berserk Dragon Squad? He Shua sneered. Late at night, after Feng Xiaoqing fell asleep, He Shua found Marble and made his request. Kill the martial artist squad during the day? Sure, 100 million. Marble nodded slightly. Then I'll have to trouble Senior Marble. Shall we set off now? He Shua maintained his smile. However, he was cursing in his heart. 100 million. This old man really dared to ask for it. Since there's a tracker, let's end it quickly. For the young master's safety, only the two of us can go. Marble got up and went downstairs. No problem. When the time comes, Senior Marble, please prioritize the captain of the Berserk Dragon Squad. I'll deal with the genius Zhang Xiai. In He Shua's eyes, Wang Dalong and Zhang Xiai were the biggest threats. They had to die. After that, the two of them left under the cover of the night. Their direction was the Berserk Dragon Squad's current stronghold. Berserk Dragon Squad's stronghold. Chunfeng, have you set up the alarm? Wang Dalong asked. And the surroundings of this building have been set up. As long as something approaches, we will receive an alarm. Tian Chunfeng nodded. In the wilderness, when everyone rested at night, other than people taking turns to keep watch, they would also install alarms around the stronghold to ensure safety. Then there's no problem. I'll keep watch for a while. You guys take a rest. Tomorrow we'll continue hunting C-class monsters. Wang Dalong walked towards the door. Haha. Captain, now that you mention it, I'm not sleepy anymore. Lu Hao laughed loudly. Zhang Xiai smiled and shook his head. He leaned against the wall and closed his eyes to rest. 2 hours later at midnight, Zhang Xiai was woken up by the alarm on his tactical communications watch. Without alerting Lu Hao and Tian Chunfeng, he quietly walked to Wang Dalong, who was on night duty, and signaled that it was time to change shifts. Wang Dalong nodded lightly and returned to his room. Zhang Xiai stood in the corridor. Through the small window on the wall, he could see the 2 moons in the sky. Under the moonlight, Ruins 09 were much quieter. Only a few nocturnal monsters were growling. There are still 2 more months before the year 92 is over. If I calculate, it's almost been 7 years since I came to this era. How fast? For the first 6 years, he had been living a difficult life. Only in the second half of this year did he start to live a truly exciting life. In the past 6 months he had improved rapidly. From his weak body to his current strength that was comparable to a D-class warrior. Jiang Xi sighed in his heart. Life was truly unpredictable. Roar! A monster's growl could be heard from afar. Beep beep beep. The sentry's monitoring device rang. There's movement in the east 35th direction. Jiang Xi became nervous. He quickly picked up the binoculars and looked through the window towards the east 35th direction. Under the moonlight, he could only see a monster leaping past the sentry post. So it's a monster. Jiang Xi sighed in relief. Just as he was about to put down the binoculars, his face suddenly changed. Something's not right. Jiang Xi turned his gaze towards the east 12th direction. He saw 2 figures using the darkness, sneaking over from a nearby ruined building. If one did not pay attention, they would not be able to see them. Be on guard, Riverward bellowed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Wang Dalong and the other 2 quickly rushed out. Someone is sneaking over. Let's go to the roof, Jiang Xi whispered. Everyone did not make a sound. They lightened their footsteps and walked towards the roof. Senior Marble, they seem to have discovered us. They are heading towards the roof. He Shua's tracking device showed the movement trajectory of the Mad Dragon squad. It's just a few D-class warriors. Even if they discover us, it doesn't matter. They won't be able to escape. Marble laughed confidently. The 2 of them walked downstairs. Marble raised his head and said, "You guard downstairs. I'll rush up. If anyone comes down, stop them first." After he finished speaking, he exerted strength in his legs. He did not climb the stairs. Instead, he stepped on the wall and jumped lightly. He was more than 10 meters high. Then he grabbed the window and climbed up again. His body was extremely light. C-class warrior. He Shua revealed a yearning expression. Just like the monsters, C-class was also a dividing line for human warriors. C-class warriors' marrow had silver-like marrow. Their bone marrow was as thick as mercury, but their weight was lighter. The top C-class warriors could even break through the speed of sound. However, Marble obviously did not reach the speed of sound. Otherwise, he would not have been able to borrow strength to climb up. Warriors who truly reached the speed of sound would have rushed up in an instant. However, it was undeniable that Marble's speed was very fast. In less than a second, he was already close to the roof of the 100-meter-tall building. Boom! The huge force caused half of the roof to disappear. C-class. Run. Scatter and run. Every single one of you who can escape is one of us. Wang Dalong shouted angrily. Whoosh 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 whoosh. 4 figures jumped down from the roof from 4 different directions, trying to escape. Marble snorted coldly and chased after Wang Dalong downstairs. He Shua's face was filled with murderous intent. He locked onto Jiang Xi's figure with one glance. Jiang Xi. He Shua immediately chased after him. As for the other 2 members of the Mad Dragon squad, he could only let them go for now. If they were not discovered just now, they would have the confidence to kill all 4 members of the Mad Dragon squad through a sneak attack. However, now that they were discovered, they could only kill the important targets first. They would find another opportunity to kill the other 2 since they had the tracking device. Bloodthirst squad. I was too careless. When I met the Bloodthirst squad during the day, I should have left ruin number 09 immediately. Jiang Xi gritted his teeth and ran with all his might. After the overall strength of the Mad Dragon squad had increased, they were overconfident and were not as cautious as before. After meeting the Bloodthirst squad during the day, they had only changed to a foothold that was further away. However, they did not expect the enemy to be able to catch up with them. Jiang Xi leaped from one building to another at an extremely fast speed. After noticing movement behind him, he turned around and saw that He Shua had caught up with him. Chapter 59. It must be a tracker. I've heard that He Shua is good at tracking. He Shua is a D-class warrior. Although I have D-class combat power, it's better to be careful. There might be other ambushers. I should escape first. I don't know if Captain can escape. That C-class old man is chasing him. Jiang Xi tried to stay calm and kept increasing his speed. His wind shadow step was close to mastery, and his speed was faster than most D-class warriors. Soon, the distance between him and He Shua was getting farther and farther. So fast. He Shua was shocked. He's so young, but his speed is faster than a D-class warrior like me. He must die. Otherwise, there will be endless trouble. He Shua was very afraid. Everyone knew the consequences of offending a genius. In just 3 to 4 months, Zhang Xia had grown so much. If he let Zhang Xia escape, Zhang Xia would be the one chasing after him. He Shua chased closely. In his opinion, fast speed did not mean strong attack power. He was confident that with his D-class strength, he could easily kill Zhang Xia, who was only E-class. In just 1 or 2 minutes, the two of them had already run nearly 10 kilometers. Soon, the two of them were close to the periphery of Ruin 09. When I reach the wilderness, my speed will be even faster. I can shake He Shua off. Zhang Xia maintained his extreme speed, and his body gradually became blurry. Meow. Suddenly, a D-class shadow demon cat jumped out from the ruins beside him. Not good. Zhang Xi's body froze. He quickly dodged and crashed into a ruined building. Damn it, why did I encounter a D-class monster? Zhang Xi's heart sank. The shadow demon cat was a speed-type monster. If he was caught, he would not be able to escape. Kill. Zhang Xi did not hesitate and slashed with the killing shadow sword. Swish. The shadow demon cat was very fast. Under the moonlight, it left behind afterimages. At this time, He Shua caught up. Haha, Zhang Xi, it seems like God wants you to die. Seeing that Zhang Xi was blocked by the shadow demon cat, He Shua was not in a hurry. His speed also slowed down. There was a trace of anxiety on Riverward's face. However, his mind remained calm as he quickly observed his surroundings. Looks like I can only fight to the death. With an idea in mind, Zhang Xi lightly tapped his feet and used the momentum to move his body to the side. He used his killer shadow sword to slash upwards, leaving a terrifying wound on the shadow demon cat's body. Meow. The shadow demon cat was enraged, and its attacks became even more ferocious. As for Zhang Xi, after using his sword, he did not move forward. Instead, he retreated. He stepped on the ruined building next to him, turned around and rushed towards He Shua, creating some distance between himself and the shadow demon cat. Courting death? He Shua laughed and slashed out with his saber. Zhang Xi's figure grew more and more blurry, but his eyes grew more and more resolute. He held the slaughtering shadow sword horizontally in front of him, ready to strike at any moment. This is the time. Wind shadow step. Zhang Xi's eyes flashed with a cold light. His footsteps changed and he instantly sped up. His speed was even faster than before. 9 elements sword art, the strongest attack. The slaughtering shadow sword flashed past a blurry sword shadow. With a buzzing sound, its power shook the air. What? He Shua's expression changed. He wanted to use his strength to slash again. However, the power of the previous slash had not dissipated. It would not be so easy to pull it back. Poochie. The sharp blade pierced through He Shua's body and pierced through his heart. You killed a level D warrior. Experience plus 50 after killing the enemy with 1 slash. Zhang Xi did not slow down. His body turned, and the slaughtering shadow sword swept out. Bang! The shadow demon cat that was pouncing on him was sent flying. Without the threat of He Shua, Zhang Xi could deal with the shadow demon cat that was blocking his way without worry. You almost killed me. If I don't kill you, I won't be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Zhang Xi flew and stabbed out with his sword. After using the wind shadow step, his speed completely suppressed the shadow demon cat. Chi! The slaughtering shadow sword pierced through the shadow demon cat's body plop. After the level D shadow demon cat was stabbed, it flew out. It did not even have time to scream. You killed a level D shadow demon cat. Experience plus 50. Phew, this time Zhang Xi could finally breathe a sigh of relief. It turns out that after using all my strength is actually close to level C. It seems that I was too cautious just now. Even he himself found it hard to believe that he was actually so strong now. Last time at Ruin 0724, when he finally rushed out of the horde of beasts, Zhang Xi's actual combat power had barely reached level D. Now, his actual combat power was close to level C, and he was a top-level D warrior. If the wind shadow step can reach the microscopic realm, Maybe my actual combat power can truly enter the ranks of level C warriors. Wind Shadow Step. Small success 4631500. Looking at the Wind Shadow Step's leveling up progress, it was almost there. Tracker. Jiang Xi walked to Hishua's corpse and took out a device that was used to receive the tracker signal. On the device's screen there were 4 red dots and 4 green dots. The most advanced nano-reptile tracker. No wonder I didn't find it. Jiang Xi recognized the model of the device. Previously, when he was buying equipment at the Xiantian store, he had seen this tracker. It used nano-level reptiles to track the enemy. Once the reptile stuck to it, it would be difficult to escape. After that, Jiang Xi used the signal-receiving device to check on his body. When it detected the trousers of the combat uniform, a red dot on the device began to flash. Found it. Jiang Xi quickly used the device to turn off the nano-reptiles on his body. The other 3 red dots should be the captain, Brother Hao and Chan Feng. One of the red dots is still moving quickly. It seems that the captain has not gotten rid of the level C warrior. Jiang Xi was very worried. Looking at the signal, Lu Hao and Tian Chenfeng were not being chased and had already gathered together. It's definitely too late to help the captain now. Then, I'll take advantage of the level C warrior's absence and kill them. This is the chance to get rid of the Bloodthirst squad. Under the night sky, Jiang Xi revealed a decisive look. He was also ruthless. The Bloodthirst squad had attacked him repeatedly. They had long been on his must-kill list. After Jiang Xi harvested the materials from the Shadow Demon Cat, he flashed through the night sky. Every step he took covered hundreds of meters as he rushed towards the green on the signal device. He had already confirmed that the green dot was the tracker that Hishua had placed on the Bloodthirst squad members. When the number of monsters on the road gradually increased, Jiang Xi slowed down and moved forward carefully to avoid causing a big commotion. 20 minutes later, he arrived at a dilapidated commercial district 10 kilometers away. The tracking signal showed that the Bloodthirst squad was on a tall building in front of him. At this time, the red dot that represented Wang Dalong was still moving quickly. It seemed that he had not gotten rid of the level C warrior's pursuit. Under such circumstances, Wang Dalong could only pray for his own good. Captain, please don't die. Then Jiang Xi withdrew his thoughts and looked at the Bloodthirst squad's location. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Let's observe the specific situation first. Jiang Xi did not act rashly. Instead, he went to a tall building next door. After killing the monsters in the corridor, he finally stopped on the 31st floor. He took out his binoculars and observed the location of the green on the signal tracker. Under the bright moonlight, he could clearly see the situation on each floor of the tall building opposite. Chapter 60. On the 8th floor. Through the window of the corridor, he could see the silhouettes of the Sanguinary squad. In the corridor, other than Shen Guang, there was a skinny man and a middle-aged man with small eyes. The remaining 3 members of the Sanguinary squad were there. The members of the Hurricane squad should be in the room. Jiang Xi quickly made a judgment. When I encountered them during the day, other than Feng Xiaocheng, there was another Class D martial artist in the Hurricane squad. In addition to the Sanguinary squad, there are 2 Class D martial artists and 3 Class E martial artists upstairs. If I rush up and kill them directly, I won't be able to kill them all. Once I'm exposed, I'll be surrounded and attacked. It'll be very dangerous. I have to prioritize. My main target is the remaining 3 members of the Sanguinary squad. It doesn't matter if I kill the members of the Hurricane squad or not. Lastly, I have to think of a safe way. Jiang Xi did not act rashly. He used the binoculars to observe the surroundings again. Monster hordes. Suddenly Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. This was ruin number 09. There was no lack of monsters. There are 5 monster hordes within a 1-kilometer radius. One of them has close to 100 monsters. The leader is only a Class C steel fur porcupine. That's it. The steel fur porcupine's weakness was speed, and Jiang Xi's strength was speed. After locking onto his target, Jiang Xi jumped down from the tall building and landed quietly with the help of wind shadow steps. If only I had a sniper rifle or a bow and arrow, Jiang Xi thought as he ran. It was more convenient and safer to lure the monsters with long-range attacks. My speed is close to Class C, so it's not dangerous to lure the monsters. 30 seconds later, a small square appeared 200 meters in front of Jiang Ci. There were close to 100 monsters lying in the square. They were all in a deep sleep. Some of the monsters were even growling in their sleep. Deep in the square, there was a steel fur porcupine that was close to 10 meters long. The porcupine's fur was like curved steel bars. It was terrifying. How do I attract its attention? Jiang Ci looked around and had an idea. Immediately, he picked up a stone the size of a human head from the ruined building beside him and threw it with all his might. Whoosh! The hard rock landed heavily on the steel fur porcupine 200 meters away. Roar! The steel fur porcupine was startled awake and roared angrily. Rumble! Its huge body flipped over, causing the ground to tremble. The 100 or so monsters in the square were all alarmed. The C-grade steel-furred porcupine's eyes had some intelligence, and it instantly saw Jiang Ci in the distance. Roar! Another angry roar. Nearly 100 monsters charged at Jiang Ci. Run! Jiang Ci turned around and ran back. Dark clouds drifted past, covering the 2 moons in the sky. The night became even darker. With the horde of beasts chasing after him, Jiang Ci's speed was even faster than before. The steel-furred porcupine that was as big as a small mountain roared and chased after him relentlessly. Behind it was a horde of nearly 100 monsters. There were D-grade and E-grade monsters, and they were all very large in size. When they galloped, their momentum was astonishing. Although the steel-furred porcupine is a C-grade monster, its speed is its weakness. I'm just a little faster than it. Just like this, I'll maintain a distance of 300 meters. Jiang Ci led the steel-furred porcupine and the horde of beasts in a mad dash. After more than 20 seconds, he once again arrived at the Bloodthirst Squad's stronghold. Jiang Ci turned around to take a look and was shocked. The number of monsters behind him had exceeded 500, and there was an additional C-grade Megalodon Bloodmastiff. The other monsters nearby have been brought over as well. The scale of the horde is getting bigger and bigger. Fortunately, there are no B-grade monsters nearby, nor are there any C-grade monsters that are good at speed. With his advantage in speed, the distance between him and the horde was maintained at about 300 meters. With a distance of 300 meters, if I rush to kill someone first, I'll have to leave after 2 to 3 seconds at most. Otherwise, I'll be drowned by the horde. Jiang Ci quickly made a judgment. With such a large horde, once he was caught in it, he would be in danger. It was unlike the previous time at Ruin 0724. When the horde was mainly F-grade monsters this time, the horde was mainly E-grade monsters. Even if his strength was close to C-grade, if he was entangled, he could die. 8th floor. I'll need at least 1 second to climb the stairs. I'll just step on the outer wall and go up. Jiang Ci stomped on the ground. He wanted to use the momentum to rush up and directly reach the 8th floor. In the corridor of the 8th floor, Shen Guang and another skinny member were standing together, discussing something in low voices out of boredom. The sniper of the Bloodthirst Squad, Wan Qing, had just returned to his room to rest. It's been almost an hour. Captain and Senior Marble should be back soon, right? Shen Guang stood in front of the window and looked in the direction He Shua had left. It's not a big problem. Senior Marble is a C-grade martial artist, and Captain is also an elite D-grade martial artist. It'll be easy to deal with the Berserk Dragon Squad. The skinny member laughed. I don't care about the others as long as Jiang Ci is dead. Shen Guang's eyes were cold. Then there's no need to worry. A small E-grade martial artist can't escape from Captain and Senior Marble's attack. Besides, the skinny member laughed and wanted to say something. Suddenly his expression changed. There's movement. Shen Guang did not need his reminder. He could feel that the building was shaking slightly. Beep beep beep. The alarm that they had set up also let out hurried beeps. Alert! Shen Guang shouted. However, before he could prepare to observe the situation, whoosh, a soft sound was heard. Under the moonlight, a blurry sword shadow suddenly attacked. A person directly jumped in through the window in front of him. Jiang! Shen Guang's eyes widened. He could not react in time. Chi! In 0.1 seconds, the blade pierced through Shen Guang's forehead. Shen Guang dead. You killed an E-grade martial artist. Experience points plus 30. Zhang Xiai did not slow down. With a turn of the wind shadow step, his figure fluttered. In an instant he arrived in front of another skinny member of the Blood Massacre team. Crash. The killer shadow sword swept out. The sharp blade cut through the skinny member's waist. His internal organs were scattered all over the floor. You killed an E-grade martial artist. Experience points plus 30. There's one more that's not here. The beast horde is here. Retreat. Rumble. The sound of the beast horde stampede finally became clear. The whole building shook even more violently, as if an earthquake had occurred. Riverward didn't stop at all. He flew through the window and jumped down. From the moment he made his move to the moment he left, only 1 second had passed. Almost at the same time. Roar. The roars of the steel fur porcupine and the giant-toothed blood mastiff could be heard. Hundreds of beasts rushed into the building. The whole building was shaking. It was on the verge of collapse. In the room, the 3 members of the hurricane team and Wan Qing immediately woke up after hearing Shen Guang's warning. However, in less than a second, the sound of the beast horde stampede could be heard just as they stood up. Crack, crack, crack. The wall quickly cracked. The building was nearly 100 meters tall, made of reinforced concrete. It had been built for more than 100 years. When the beast horde rushed up, the ground floor began to collapse. The building is going to collapse. Hurry up and jump down. The D-grade martial artist of the hurricane team grabbed Feng Xiaocheng, directly smashed open the window and jumped down. Wan Qing and the others hurriedly followed. Chapter 61. Crash. The entire building collapsed in an instant. Smoke and dust billowed. More than 500 monsters, led by the steel fur porcupines and the giant-toothed blood mastiff, were roaring in the ruins. After Zhang Xiai jumped down, he quickly hid in the opposite building. Looking at the collapsed building and the crazy monsters, Zhang Xiai did not feel anything. Feng Xiaocheng, good luck to you. Who asked you to be with the Bloodthirst Squad? In order to kill Shen Guang and the Bloodthirst Squad, he could not care less. Standing on a high ground, he could see the curly-haired young man, Feng Xiaocheng, under the protection of 2 martial artists, killing the monsters. Uncle Yun. Where is Uncle Yun? Feng Xiaocheng shouted in despair. In the end, they did not manage to escape. They were surrounded by the monsters. In the ruins of the collapsed building, more and more monsters pounced on them. Roar! Roar! Damn it! Damn it! Why is there a monster horde? How did Shen Guang and the skinny guy guard it? Wan Qing was in despair. In the current situation, they would be dead in at most a minute. Zhang Xiai saw all this in the dark. His face was expressionless. At this moment, a blurry figure appeared silently in the middle of the monster horde. Before he could see the figure clearly, he swung his rod. Bang! 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 As the rod swept across, the crazy monsters exploded like watermelons. Blood, flesh, and bones splattered everywhere. In the end, the rod landed on the steel fur porcupine. The 10-meter-long steel fur porcupine also exploded. It did not even have the chance to roar. When the other giant-toothed blood mastiff saw this, it turned around and ran. It wanted to escape. Trying to escape? Suddenly, a light snort was heard. Another blurry figure appeared in front of the giant-toothed blood mastiff and slashed at it. The giant-toothed blood mastiff was cut in half from head to toe. At this moment, the monsters had all escaped. What kind of speed is this? What a powerful attack! What powerful strength! Riverward was extremely shocked and hurriedly slowed down his breathing to avoid being discovered. Could it be a Class A martial artist? Their speed just now was definitely above the speed of sound, and not just twice the speed of sound. It was only after the 2 of them killed the 2 C-class monsters that there was a slight sonic boom. At this moment, a voice came from the other side. Jiang Xi hurriedly looked over carefully. Uncle Zongsu. Uncle Tashi. Feng Xiaocheng shouted in surprise. Zongsu was the middle-aged man who used the staff. He had thick eyebrows and thin eyes, and his gaze was very intimidating. Tashi was the young man with the saber. His face was cold and grim. Zongsu walked in front of Feng Xiaocheng and chuckled. After your father received your call for help, he found that there were only 2 A-class warriors nearby, Tashi and I. He immediately notified us. You were too careless, kid. You were resting at night, but you were still attacked by a herd of beasts. The Blood Massacre team has always been on guard for me. I didn't expect something like this to happen. If Uncle Zhongsu hadn't come, I might have been torn apart by the beasts. Feng Xiaoqing was scared. When the building collapsed, he used his tactical communications watch to send out a distress signal. What about the Bloodthirst Squad? Zhongsu asked. Feng Xiaoqing turned to Wan Qing. Wan Qing quickly stood up. Senior, we have 2 members who have been guarding the corridor. However, when they shouted for help, the herd of beasts rushed over. They have been guarding outside the whole time, but they still let the herd of beasts rush up. Their vigilance is really bad. Zhongsu shook his head. Boss, I found 2 corpses. At this time, the other young man with the saber, Tashi, kicked away the collapsed building. Shen Guang and another person's corpses were under a few pieces of the broken wall. Shen Guang. Skinny guy. Wan Qing's face changed. Zhongsu walked over and took a look. He frowned and said, they were not killed by the beasts. It seems that someone killed these 2 people first. The herd of beasts behind was deliberately led here. Looking at the situation, this person is very fast. He is at least C-class. His target should be the Blood Massacre team, but we can't rule out the possibility that he is here for Xiaoqing. Feng Xiaoqing was a little panicked. What should we do? I don't know where Uncle Yun went. Marble? I remember that your father asked Marble to protect you and not leave your side at all. Zhongsu frowned slightly. Wan Qing had a bad premonition. He knew that the captain had asked Senior Marble to kill the Berserk Dragon team, but he had not returned yet. Could it be that the captain had failed? Then, did the Berserk Dragon team sneak over and kill Shenguang and the others? That was impossible. The strongest martial artist in the Berserk Dragon team was only D-class. Even if they managed to escape, it was impossible for them to reach here and kill the 2 people in an instant. Wan Qing had a bad feeling. In order to not let the 2 A-class martial artists in front of him see through his thoughts, he tried his best to remain calm. In the distance, Jiang Xi was shocked after hearing Zhongsu's speculation. This A-class martial artist was too strong. The destruction of the battlefield was so great, but he could still roughly see through his actions. Whoosh, with a gust of wind, Marble could be seen running over from afar. Marble is back. What about the captain? Jiang Xi looked at the signal tracker. The red dot representing Wang Dalong was still moving quickly. He immediately relaxed. It seemed that Wang Dalong had also escaped. On the other side, Marble's face changed when he saw the collapsed building. Immediately after, he saw Feng Xiaoqing standing beside Zhongsu safe and sound. His heart tightened. He quickly walked over. Greetings, Senior Zhongsu. Senior Tashi. Zhongsu's face was stern. Feng Xian asked you to protect Xiaoqing, and this is how you protect him? Marble's face turned pale and his body trembled. Boss, don't teach Marble a lesson. Boss Feng will punish him when we get back. Since Xiaoqing is safe, let's get down to business. The young man, Tashi, laughed. Zhongsu nodded. Xiaoqing, Marble, Tashi and I will go to the center of ruin number 09 to kill the 2-headed demon wolf. You guys should leave this place in a while. It's best if you leave ruin number 09 to avoid being affected. 2-headed demon wolf. That's one of the strongest A-class monsters in ruin number 09. Marble exclaimed. Haha, no matter how strong it is, it's still a monster. Zhongsu laughed. Then, together with Tashi, their figures flashed and turned into 2 blurred silhouettes and directly disappeared in front of these people. The 2 uncles are so strong. They feel like my dad. Feng Xiaoqing looked at the direction where the 2 of them left. Of course, the 2 of them are ranked in the top 100 of the world's martial arts ranking. Marble revealed a yearning look. Wan Qing could not help but ask, Young Master Feng, are those 2 seniors yours? Feng Xiaoqing proudly said, They are my dad's life and death brothers. They roamed the wilderness together in the early years and later became A-class martial artists. Wan Qing was envious. This was the circle of the strong. It was no wonder that the strong would become stronger. Wan Qing, can you contact your captain? Marble suddenly asked. I can't contact him at the moment. Wan Qing shook his head. He was a little worried. Then let's ignore him for now. Senior Zhongsu and the rest are about to make their move. We should leave this place quickly. Although Marble felt that something was wrong when he Shua did not return, he could not care less at this time. The few of them immediately turned and rushed out of ruin number 09. Chapter 62. Unfortunately, there's still one member of the Blood Massacre Squad that's not dead yet. I'll have to wait for the next opportunity. Zhang Xi hid in the tall building across the street and did not move. He only let out a sigh of relief after Zhongsu and Ta Shi left. Then Zhang Xi's eyes were filled with excitement. A Class A elite fighting against a Class A monster. I must watch. Since the captain and the others were safe, there was nothing to worry about. Zhang Xi used his tactical communications watch to send a message to Wang Dalong and the others, telling them that he was safe. There were many missed calls and unread messages on his tactical communications watch. They were all from Wang Dalong and the others. Zhang Xi did not dare to do anything when Zhongsu and Ta Shi were there, so he did not reply. Wang Dalong replied quickly, "It's good that you're safe. We're going to gather at our first base, Shanshui District, and then return to Zhini Army's camp to rest. Come over quickly." Zhang Xi thought for a while and replied, "This attack made me realize that I'm not strong enough. I'm going to train at the periphery of ruin number 09 alone. You guys go back to Pak Sun province first." Wang Dalong replied after a while, "Be careful, don't go too deep." He did not stop him because he knew Zhang Xi's strength. Zhang Xi could kill a Class D monster by himself. It would not be a problem for him to train at the periphery of ruin number 09 if he was careful. On the first day that the Mad Dragon Squad came to ruin number 09, someone had fought with the two-headed demon wolf. Zhang Xi remembered the approximate location and ran in that direction. As he went deeper, Zhang Xi became more careful and slowed down. 10 minutes later, Zhang Xi looked at the map. He was almost at the center of ruin number 09. There was a shopping mall 100 meters in front of him, but half of it had collapsed. He could only see two blurry words on the sign by Da. Wu. A few wolf-type monster growls came from the shopping mall. Wolves. Zhang Xi immediately stopped and climbed up a tall building in the neighborhood. He took out his binoculars and looked at the shopping mall 100 meters away. From his perspective, he could see the general situation inside and around the mall. Hundreds of monsters of different sizes were sleeping in the half-collapsed mall. Occasionally, some of them would let out low growls that sounded like ravings. There are so many wolf-type monsters. This should be the lair of the two-headed demonic wolves. However, where are the 2A class fighters? After looking around, Zhang Xi did not see anyone. The mall was very quiet, and there were no signs of a big battle. At the same time, not far from Zhang Xi, on another tall building in the residential area, Zhongsu and Ta Shi were also observing the situation in the mall. Half a month ago, there was already an A-rank martialist who came to hunt a two-headed demonic wolf. In the end, that martialist escaped with heavy injuries. However, it is said that the two-headed demonic wolf was also heavily injured. This time, we must seize this opportunity and strive to succeed in hunting it. Zhongsu looked in the direction of the shopping mall with a fiery gaze. The two-headed demon wolf in ruin number 09 can be ranked in the top 30 of the known A-class monsters in the world. Once we succeed in killing it, our ranking on the global martial arts expert list will increase by at least 10 ranks. Ta Shi was also excited. Zhongsu used his tactical communications watch to bring up the map, and specially zoomed in on the mall where the two-headed demonic wolf was. Beside the two-headed demonic wolf, there are 3 B-class Silver Moon demonic wolves. Also, according to the information, there is a spirit item in the depths of their lair. When we fight later, we must lure them out and not destroy the spirit item. Boss, just focus on dealing with the two-headed demonic wolf. Leave those 3 Silver Moon demonic wolves to me. Ta Shi nodded confidently. In the night sky, dark clouds covered the moonlight. The two-headed demonic wolf's lair was completely dark. Zhang Xi waited quietly on the tall building. He was not in a hurry. Holding the binoculars, he carefully observed the situation in the mall in the distance. I can't see the two-headed demonic wolf from this position. It should be hiding in the shadows in the depths of the lair. After a while, the dark clouds dissipated, and the bright moonlight of the two moons shone on the ground. The night in ruin number 09 became very bright. This also allowed Zhang Xi to clearly see the situation in the depths of the lair. In the depths of the lair, the two-headed demonic wolf's huge figure was crawling in the shadows. There were two wolf heads, one facing outwards and one facing inwards. Both of their eyes were closed. It breathed in and out white mist like a long snake, which filled the depths of the lair. A terrifying aura was emitted from its body. Zhang Xi could not help but hold his breath. This is an A-class monster? Too big. Too strong. The two-headed demonic wolf was only crawling there, but it was already more than 5 meters tall. Moreover, this was only a part of its body that was visible. Most of it was still hidden in the depths of the lair. What is that? Suddenly Zhang Xi's gaze froze. He quickly took the binoculars and turned his gaze back to the previous position. Just now, the head of the two-headed demonic wolf that was facing inwards moved slightly, allowing Zhang Xi to see some of the scenes in the depths of the lair. He saw a small tree that was nearly 1 meter tall. The trunk and leaves were crystal clear. On the crown of the small tree, there was a blue fruit that was the size of a baby's fist. There was an irregular golden pattern on it. That's a spiritual item? Zhang Xi's eyes lit up. Previously, when Wang Delong bought the body-strengthening medicine for Lu Hao and Tian Chanfeng, Zhang Xi was curious about the body-strengthening medicine, and specifically searched for information about it on the Xiantian forum. He had seen an introduction about spiritual items in a post. After the spirit qi awakening, all living things evolved. The things that evolved from plants contained a large amount of spirit qi energy, and were called spiritual items. The body-strengthening medicine could only strengthen the body and not the mind. Therefore, the drawbacks were huge. Consuming spiritual items could strengthen the body and the mind. They were very valuable. However, a martial artist's body and mind could not withstand the impact of a large amount of spirit qi energy. Therefore, the consequence of consuming spiritual items directly was death. Rumor has it that a research institute has developed diluted spiritual item medicine. The price is extremely high. It is worth billions and billions. Moreover, there is a price but no market. It is very difficult for ordinary people to buy it. Zhang Xi remembered this sentence very clearly. Just a diluted spiritual item medicine costs billions and billions. How much is this spiritual item of the two-headed demonic wolf worth? Trillions? Zhang Xi was very tempted. Unfortunately, I can only watch. The lair of the two-headed demonic wolf is one of the most dangerous places in ruin number 09. With my strength, I will be nothing if I enter. Zhang Xi shook his head and gave up on the unrealistic thoughts in his heart. Although money was important, his life was more important. Boom! Suddenly, two blurry figures appeared in the lair of the two-headed demonic wolf. A powerful aura erupted and dispersed the white fog that pervaded the lair. It has begun. Such fast speed. Zhang Xi's breathing stagnated as he watched with rapt attention. In the distance, deep within the lair, Zhongsu shouted loudly and swung the long rod in his hand. A hazy rod shadow suddenly landed on the body of the two-headed demonic wolf. Roar! The two heads of the two-headed demonic wolf howled towards the sky at the same time and let out a deafening roar. 3 smaller silver moon demonic wolves suddenly rushed out from the depths of the lair and pounced towards Zhongsu and Tashi.